intro. Cool. All right. So there we go. We are now live again. So everybody join me for another Paradigm Shift Radio and wave to the internet's Paradigm Shift Radio After Party Hangout. Hello, internets. Wave to the internets, everybody.
I salute to the internet.
Yeah. Cool.
From the Navy.
All right. So this is obviously another after party conversation following a free flow fractal conversation episode, and I encourage you guys to use this as an opportunity to practice having conversations related to the evolution of consciousness, to give it that umbrella topic at the very least. Anything, maybe you guys got some stories, some insights, some questions that you want to share, and just generally being respectful of one another and trying not to, hijack the microphone and sharing the talking stick. And that's what this is. This is all just practice. So we'll just put it out there for anybody, maybe somebody. Or Bonnie, Bonnie, we'll pass it over to Bonnie first just to get the ball rolling. Bonnie, did you have a question about what people thought of the episode, or was that?
Oh, I was just asking, what people's favorite part of the episode was tonight.
My favorite part was when Bonnie spoke.
Oh, hi, Christian.
Hi.
I didn't see you.
I totally missed the episode, so I can't say anything.
Yeah, I only caught the last third of it.
We talked about so many things.
Yeah.
I saw a guy with this shirt. I saw a guy with this shirt that said, it said, "Your ego is not your amigo." And I thought that was so funny, and that's all I was thinking about when we were talking about the ego. And I think your ego can be your amigo. Like, I think it should be a goal to make your ego your amigo. So, yeah, I liked listening to that.
Yeah, I think... Go ahead.
Well, first off, to answer your question about is your ego an amigo, is that it is. Think about it. Can you survive in this world without your ego?
No, that's exactly it. You gotta make it your friend and learn how to talk to it and just be able to get along with it, because it's there no matter what you do.
Yeah, and like another thing is like, how do you reach enlightenment without your ego?
There wouldn't be enlightenment without ego, would there?
Yeah, but then if you have forgotten what it is, how can you reach it? Ha.
I think it's fair to say that every part of us is part of the equation. You can't just shut any of it out. You have to integrate it all in its most appropriate context.
There you go.
Kind of sticky word.
It reminds me of Shiva, how he wears the snake like a necklace. Like the snake represents his conquering of the ego, and then now he wears it as a necklace. Kind of like he has control over it, but he. I don't know, it just symbolizes like control over the ego, but it doesn't mean you destroy it, you get rid of it, you just wear it as a necklace. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What are other ways that you all get rid of your, not get rid of, or maybe like sync your ego so that you're able to bring yourself to your highest path in life?
Has anybody here seen Train Your Dragon? How to Train Your Dragon?
Yes, I love that movie.
That's what that movie was about. It was about
Right.
training your ego or something, sort of. That's what one way to interpret it. But
Or if you want to know how you train your ego, just look up Siddhartha, the book by Herman Hesse. I actually own the book in my house also, and like that guy who's just swarming in wealth and like just living off of that only, he at least know what an ego is, what it can do to you.
Yeah, I think you have to identify what it is first.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
AJ, come on,
AJ's
get your
here.
butt
Yo,
in
AJ.
here.
Hello.
AJ, get your butt
Yeah,
in
you
here.
do. It does start with identifying it. Actually, it was funny. I was driving in the car the other day with someone, and I was having this whole ego thing happen about like the music in my car that we were listening to, and I was kind of feeling really like awkward about it. And we drove past this bar that was called Ego Bar, and I was like, Oh my gosh! And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, this whole like thing I'm having about music right now is really just my ego being like, feeling awkward that I don't have like maybe the right CD in my car or whatever, and we have to listen to the radio. And then it's like just this whole realization of just my ego. So I actually just took a few deep breaths and like invited my ego to go away, and like the whole tension just completely disappeared within seconds of just making that realization. And I was really happy I drove past that sign. It was kind of like this funny thing to happen.
That's a good, Bonnie. I think what you do, I think that's really cool. Just to sort of have an example of different ways that we interact or that our ego comes up during the day. Just to sort of give us a direction for this conversation. Let's sort of do that. Let's sort of like go around the circle and brainstorm. Like within our personal experience, how has our ego come up to the surface? Just so we can collectively as a group help identify it. Because someone will tell a story and be like, hey, okay, that gives me a better idea of what the ego looks like, and that's actually something similar to what I've done, maybe. So I mean, it's interesting what you were saying, Bonnie, because to me that sort of reflects the idea that the ego usually wants to be in control of a situation. So then it's that idea of just sort of being able to let go of control, but still be able to trust the process. That is the process of like refining our relationship with ourselves and not letting our ego get us brought up into anxiety and things like that. But yeah, no, what about you guys? What are some ways that you've noticed your ego just playing its part? Maybe Nikolai, do you got a point?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the way, because someone was talking about how to like, get rid of the ego and all that, and I was gonna say, calming down the brain activity of your brain definitely helps. You see like monks, that they kind of like sit in caves and they get into they calm their brain's activity and it reduces the.
I mean, Denny's is probably done.
It's
no call, no show. It is what it is.
What's up?
Out of respect.
Right, I will, but I'm just saying it is.
I think he's having another conversation.
Yeah, I was saying like, calming the brain's activity and, kind of getting in that moment where everything is silent. So, your senses, so you start becoming, your senses start to cross and, you start seeing, you start thinking more cognitively and, you get to that point where, it's definitely, you definitely see the world how it really is.
Who is playing music right now?
Andy?
That was my first guess.
Like
that was you?
Andy would be listening to Celine Dion or something.
That was part of my ego at work.
Sorry about that, guys.
My ego sounds like Celine Dion. Oh god.
Oh, good man.
Yeah, just passing more examples of ego coming up within our day-to-day lives. What do you guys think? What do we got? Take a moment to just sort of reflect, because there's it happens probably 1,000 times a day theoretically.
I have an example.
Christian, go for it.
Yeah. So today I was at the bank and I was in line, and these people came up in line next to me and they just started talking about. Oh gosh, they mentioned Deepak Chopra. They were talking about quantum physics and how our junk DNA is not junk DNA and all this stuff. And I wanted to say hey, have you guys heard of paradigm shift? We talk about this stuff all the time. And my ego said, no, don't say anything. You're shy. So I kind of failed. I let my ego control the situation instead of just listening to my inner promptings to, start a conscious conversation. So that's one way.
On another, for myself, I finally just want to say something. Finally. The deal is that today I was so promoting what the paradigm shift was going to do that I so missed my work like I had a job like interview, like I was supposed to go into a job and I didn't even realize it. And I
Great.
totally missed it. I mean, but I have another, but I have two jobs that I was trying to work at the same time.
Right.
And the one was I was sort of lackadaisical in doing certain things just because I knew I was like, I really don't want this job, but it's gonna be extra money nonetheless. And then in reading tarot cards, I've been making money on the side as well. So that's another source of income. But like my main focus was this one premier job. That's the job that I really have been sort of intent on getting. But I was so like I went everywhere I went, I like brought everybody in and I'm like, look, you gotta understand about this paradigm shift. So I ended up doing a reading for somebody at this bar, and when we're talking about ego, I mean, it's I guess I was selfless in a certain sense because what I've been trying to do is bring other people that are not aligned with this community into the community and tell them how amazing it is, because I think that we can't take this for granted, nor can we hide the fact of what we have. And I think that a lot of people might have been raised in certain aspects of religion, and they're scared to kind of put out there maybe what it is that the conscious mind is trying to say or what this community is. And that's something that I've had to wrestle with, but I've gotten to the point to where I've just been stating and trying to connect people, and it's been making waves of change. And so outside of ego, this is not about me. It's about what what's been created and what's been going on. And that's the reason why I just want to thank you again, Brendan, for what you're doing, because it's amazing, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
No problem, man. Thanks, AJ. I was gonna say, just going back to what Christian was talking about. Sort of felt like we sort of just segued there a little too quick, but with Christian, like just kind of like talking to you personally, like when that feeling that you have of like knowing that you could have done something but didn't, use that as a motivation to make sure you do it next time, sort of thing. Now that you know what it feels like to miss it, it'll just mean that you'll do it next time. That's how I mean. That's my own experience too. So
yeah, I had that thought. I was like, I'm not gonna let it happen again.
Yeah,
and the feeling is too terrible.
I've had that too, man. Like there are times where I've been on buses and I'm like, I could totally just go over to that person and then give them like a pamphlet, and invite them out to the meeting. But I'm just like, I'm just kind of in my own circle right now, and I just don't want to do it. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh, I totally could have, and I could have that person's life. But I'm like, all right, like, got to make sure I get the next one, sort of thing. So that's actually part of the experience. So we don't have to feel as if you missed out on an opportunity, but rather you like had that valuable experience. So that's
okay. Yeah.
Wait, Skull. So
are you talking about being in full of doubt by any chance? Like, is that what you're talking about?
Full of doubt?
Yeah, like full of doubt, like that feeling when you're like kind of like you get that emotion where you're like kind of full of doubt.
I wouldn't say full of doubt, but maybe sometimes it could almost be like laziness or uncertainty, or like we said, the ego kind of just being like, like if I'm sitting here on a bus, it's like, whatever, I'm just like, listening to my music, like I don't want to talk to people, man, like whatever, like I don't care about their problems and stuff, like we tell ourselves that, and we just get into our own zone. But so that's like the ego thing, because the ego, like I said, the ego wants control, it wants comfort, it wants familiarity, and as soon as we're just like it's weird, it's just like, hey, go talk to that random stranger, and then a part of your stomach goes, and it's just like, what? Like, was that my chakra or something? Like, what was that, right? So, like, listen to that, even.
I know what you mean, yeah. I see, okay.
Yeah,
what other examples? Or Jared, yeah?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It seemed a bit on the ego. Maybe it's sort of, I've thought, our preferences or our rationalizations, sort of. I think it's Nikolai that was talking about the mind and what you're thinking about. It's the way you're gonna think it out and think that it's a bad idea or it's a good idea or something like that, rather than moving a place from your heart that feels good, that you just kind of know that'll be good for your being, like you were saying. being like in your music, I'm just listening to my music, I'm doing my thing. It seems like the ego comes in when it's that separation between me and another person versus my heart is just, we're all just on this bus right now, right? We could just, I could just chat with this guy over here. He's riding the bus. I'm just being here, I'm
Yeah.
just living right now.
Yeah, you're living in the now. Yeah,
Yeah, and
totally, man.
I don't need to think. And it seems like the reason you wouldn't talk to somebody is like, I'm doing my own thing. I have no reason to talk to him. That's your rationalization. That's your mind going in.
Yeah.
I'm not figuring out a reason to do that. It's just your heart kind of, I'm gonna connect with somebody, sort of that ego.
Yeah. Totally, man. Totally. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you guys notice about ego in terms of judgment towards others? Do you guys catch that part of your brain doing that sometimes? Like, I think that's sort of an issue that comes up within our paradigm shifty community is like an ego, like some part of the ego starts developing this sense of elitism. And I'm not saying, I'm not like I'm not trying to judge people right now. I'm just telling you, I've noticed this. I think this is just like a natural thing. And when I use the term elitism, like maybe that's not the best word, but it's this idea of like, you'll see someone and you'll just be like, oh, like, man, like, look at that person, like, they don't know what they're doing to themselves, like, they should be doing this, they should be doing yoga and meditation and eating healthy just like me, just like I am. And then you sort of like, do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And if so, what is your reaction to that and how are you processing it? Because I think that's like very common for a lot of us, actually.
If you ask that question, I think you came to the right person to ask, because I personally studied psychotherapy, and that is one of the few things that people don't allow in my occupation. Like, you wouldn't believe it.
When you say it, when they don't allow it, what do you mean?
The ego. Like, for example, if you were to approach a client who is about to commit suicide, you don't instill the judgment on them, don't you?
No.
Just imagine about it. So yeah, like, I had, like, the reason why I was, like, a little less talkative today is because, like, so far I had 3 people that I chat with today that is about to commit suicide. They want to be dead. And, like, here's where the ego needs to stay out. Is that if you think that it's okay for you to put your, like, what should that person do instead of, like, what that person, like, is, what do you call it? It's like you're dwelling on that person's past, like what he or she should be doing rather than not be doing. Then they would just see like, oh, I'm even more mistaken than I thought, and then I'm going to feel like I'm making a mistake, and so they justify the fact that they're going to commit a suicide. That happens several times, and I've seen some members, they when they can't help a client, they always refer to like a suicide hotline. Me, I'm like, I have no problem letting them stay in my home, like we just chat on until like we can help find a solution together. That's where the ego does not stay, or if it does stay, it has to come in the terms where both of us can be a mutual agreement. That means you have to mirror the other person.
Yeah. That's
so
huge, yeah.
one thing that helps me,
Thanks, Andy.
because I tend to be, that happens sometimes to me because I've been practicing meditation for so long and stuff, and I just keep in mind. One time I heard Philosophical. I found him from this show, so you guys might know him.
For sure.
He had discussed at one point, like, we're all just walking on our own divine path, and our own, path, whatever that might be. So just keeping in mind that idea really helped me, like, turn off that judgmental side of me that's like, well, you don't feel good because you're not trying to feel good, and like kind of just like realizing that they're walking on their own divine path, and when they're ready, it will, it'll come to them, and I can maybe try and help by showing some ways that I do it, but to let go of the judgment and just realize that we're all on our own divine walks of life.
Right. But here's the thing, Bonnie. Like, did you realize that? Like, this is from my experience. This is not from anyone. this is like from other people's experience also. Like if you ever helped out with kids or help out with people with disabilities, is that one of the things that you want to get rid of your ego is sometimes I would say to people is stop meditating. You have to stop meditating or stop doing this and that and start relating more to people by going out and like help out those who are in need. And then when you know that that person's in need, you understand like that person desires more, just like I am, you know. And eventually, your ego will mature a lot better, you know. That's what self.
I want to throw in like my opinion, my personal opinion on like how the meditation and the ego and all that. In my opinion, like I think that once one starts, if you want to, have this self mystical experience, I really believe that if one were to say like, oh, you have to do this, and in order to achieve your mystical state, I really think one should really be careful how you interpret it, because it could get really bad, because it could it's a form, in my opinion, that's where a lot of religions failed, and it becomes this kind of like, I don't want to say mind control, but it becomes this, you're not helping, you're actually helping the ego a lot, and you're helping someone else's ego. So I think it's really all in you, the beauty and the colors and the fractal geometry. It's not within the any form of material or way, perhaps should I say.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
know what you mean.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, Nikolai, do you know that when you brought up that concept, that's what I also found in May of the when I go as take therapy classes and like how some psychologists they interpret your mental health. I was like, dude, that is so brainwashed. Like, what? How do you know if like somebody is mentally ill or normal? You know, it's like they
Right,
conceptualize it in such a way that it's so weird.
right.
When in reality, it's like people have problems in life, and that's it.
Mhm.
If you look at it the way it is, rather than just simply looking at individual problems and then put those individual problems as boxes or as problems, versus you looking at it as a whole.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. Yeah, there's some right. I agree with you, but yeah. I mean, reality is what you make of it. At the end of the day, it's not. It's
Okay. I'm gonna say something on this, and I wrote something, and I don't know if everybody saw what I wrote, because not everybody is friends with me on Facebook, and if you want to add me, that would be absolutely fantastic. But this is what I wrote the other day, and I feel like this was a good it was a good saying. And this is, and I'm gonna read it right now. Hold on one second. Uh, it says, "I've learned that selflessness and being humble are how you make bigger impacts than always wanting to be right. Everyone has a speed at which they receive their enlightenment. Some will go asunder for a moment, and as a collective whole, we have to remember that we didn't always have it together and still don't on some levels. This is a lifelong journey seeking what the Spirit wants us to do. Our journeys are just that, and no one should judge, yet show love, compassion, and speak truth when needed, except when to do so would hurt them or others. Love life, help heal, manifest destiny, and watch it grow is my new motto." And that's where I left it. And I feel like when it comes down to it, we are all, there is no sense of, and there is a lot of judgment that goes down, because some people, they are into the health thing, and other people are into maybe ascribing to the spiritual aspect on different levels, and they don't understand why the other people just coming in aren't at that level. And the thing is that, you know what? We all started from some place. We all did not have it together and don't have everything together because we're not perfect beings. That's the perfect sense and what it is. So I can't judge you based upon what you do, but I can tell you based upon my experiences what has benefited my life. Now, if you want to gravitate towards that and you want to add that into who you are as a spirit and who you are in that entity, then okay, add that. But certain things come at certain times, and we always have to be mindful about remembering where we were at a certain sense before we got the enlightenment or before we were on the path that we were going down. Doesn't make us any different than anybody else because we are all one in the same. We are all one spirit. We are all one collective community, but we're all at different levels. So all you should do as when you get that information is before judging somebody, bring them to the awareness and say, hey, this is what works out for me. If you want me to show you a regimen, I can show you how this can transform maybe this in your life because this is what I found to be great for myself. And if it doesn't work, then that's what it is. Then maybe that's not for you. But you have the right to pick and choose what's right for you and what's not right for you. And I think that's the big thing in this whole spectrum of finding out where you are in the conscious collectiveness of the realm of spirituality. Some things might not work for you and some things might, or some, it just depends on where you're at that time. And sometimes if you're going down the path that was led for you, certain things will start manifesting itself, and those words that somebody that might have been in that place that had the understanding will start resonating with you, and then you'll start seeing what they were saying and you can adapt that to your life. I'm just gonna leave that at that.
Yeah, well, AJ, that is good. Like, in fact, that's what I also been using for some of the members that I dealt with. Is that, like, for example, like, when you mention about that, it always reminds me or pulls up some memories with some of my clients where, like, they would say, Andy, I'm pretty stuck. I feel like I'm not myself anymore, and that I feel like I'm gonna hurt myself. And so, like, sometimes I would ask them, well, have you ever tried doing some of this that I was also doing? Because haven't I been not doing this with you? And then it's like, what if what I did here can help? Like, how would that changes your perception? And like, when I showed them how motivating I am, eventually they got to the point where, like, you know what? It's not the end of the game yet. And then they tried it.
Yeah.
But the problem is when we start suggesting ideas.
No, you can always suggest ideas. No, that's not the problem. Suggesting ideas is awesome.
Yeah, but when they are looking, when they are like still brainstorming
how you suggest
solutions.
the idea.
Yeah, how you suggest it. That's what I meant.
Suggesting ideas is awesome. Wanting to say that somebody's wrong by what they're doing is not.
Yeah,
right.
That seems to be
that's the difference.
Like a point of judgment. Like, to get back to a little bit of what Brendan, like the judgment thing, a little bit of what Ram Dass, a spiritual teacher, had said or had mentioned. There's a difference between judgment and discrimination or discernment. Correct. Almost, and it seems like judgment is more of a place of preference. Like you're doing because I prefer it a different way, versus seeing why it is you have that preference. Or as in, like, say someone had mentioned you need to be doing yoga, you need to be healthy. Well, sort of, I can see why you would judge and say you're not as good of a person or whatever. That would be that judgment part. But sort of the discernment part would seem to be the reason you should be doing yoga or whatever is it would just be great for you. It's seeing the difference. Like, you don't need to I'm not going to think badly of you because you had a certain decision. That's just the
correct.
Understand. And
yeah.
understanding.
Because we all started. We also you didn't do yoga when you were 2 years old.
Yes.
You had to be. You came upon yoga because you were led to do it at some certain point in your life. That is a life choice that you made for yourself. And once you got that awareness and that started creating results, it was something great for you. But you weren't always at that point. So you cannot. You have to take people for where they're at, and you have to say, you know what? Awesome. I understand because I was there. I was exactly like you. I
Show
am
that
you.
understanding.
I am you.
I
Right.
understand what you're doing.
I understand.
I feel you, you know. Yeah.
Well, like here's the funny thing, guys. Like, have you ever noticed that when you start giving suggestions when they are stuck or like to the point where they're hitting a dead end, it has a much greater effect on that person than if you were to give them when they are like full of ideas.
Mind you, I'm eating chili right now. I'm just saying, and I'm not
I just
drinking a
hope you're
Coke
not
because
burning. I just hope you're not burning anything up there. Because I have a whole cup of water for you if you need it.
No. I'm not drinking a Coke. I've laid off. Soda for a
Thank
while.
you.
I can't. It's messing with my insides, and I can't do it. So I've laid off soda for
Yes.
the essential time. But this chili again is awesome. This chili again is awesome.
Yeah. But anybody else have anything to add to this sort of thing? I hope nobody's feeling left out or whatever.
You know, dude,
Not at all.
up until now, like out of the times when I'm with Paradigm Shift, like it wasn't changing me that much until like I start meeting people with suicide problems, and that's when it really got me skyrocketing.
You, Andy, like little like advice, but like I mean, you should you know, it's hard. You know, I mean, I'm assuming you're a young man, so you know,
I
you kind of want, you know, stay happy when you're young, and you know, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, not saying that, you know, it's bad that, you know, you might help out these people, you know, not at all. If they feel that, that's great. But, you know, I mean, I feel like, you know, it's, you want also, you know, amplify and, you know, surround yourself with happiness also, right?
Yeah, but remember, when I help these people, I am most happy.
Okay.
Just think about how a little child would feel if, like, if you were to give him something to make him feel like he made a difference in somebody's life, or if he made somebody happy, would he also be happy?
Well, you know, that depends. I mean, if you're talking about, it depends because we're all different. So, you know,
Like, I'm
it's
talking
really
about,
hard to
like,
say.
children who are, like, they're pretty altruistic. I'm talking about those guys.
Okay. Well,
So, I would be the same way.
And
okay.
yeah, I'd love to add in that many times I've seen this play out in observation in my own life and in many others, that when people pursue any vocation, education, any major undertaking, many times, what the people are doing is they're looking to reconcile and heal a part of themselves through the work that they're doing. So I just bring to your attention to consider if that is what's bringing you your greatest affinity with happiness at this time, then consider why that's the case. What's that part of you? Because if you bring these things into consciousness more readily, because maybe someone helps us point it out to them, and you can probably, in certain cases, spare yourself a long time or many years of searching and questioning and possibly pain just because you brought that piece to awareness and you didn't have to go through this crazy undertaking to realize what it is about you that you're trying to reconcile and make peace with. Because suicide is a pretty big thing. That's like
It is.
questioning life. Why are you here? Is really the question you're asking, and you're not finding the answer, and you've closed yourself off from anything beyond the immediate physicality of you. And because of that separation, you don't see your connection to the all.
Well, exactly, Joel. In fact, I have like 5 of those people, and like I had to really be patient with them and like get through all the barriers before they finally begin to stop thinking of suicide.
Yeah, from what I've trained in when it comes to suicide and stuff like that, is timing is pretty key, and most of the time you're engaging with these people, you're definitely not going to be coming from a place of judgment. That would be the worst thing to do. It's coming from a place of compassion, which most likely will just take the form of you being a good listener. And I would even possibly say that if you have the benefit of being there in person, of being able to mirror to that person a compassion right back to them without even using the words, but just your energy, your stance, and holding that space. Which you can do without being there in person, but it's certainly much more powerful when you are.
Yup,
But
Joel.
eating bad food, I feel that eating bad food, I can see how that maybe in a few years I would die just because that's the intent that's sent out there, and I'm probably doing it to myself. I mean, not eating right, not doing the right things. I'm probably, you know,
Doing that.
I'm probably less than everybody else on the conscious level, which is okay, and I'm cool and I'm cool with that. But everybody learns at their own pace, you know. That's
Yeah,
all I
and
have to
and
say.
and that's okay. It's I would say that with when it comes to those kinds of habits, most of the time we're not talking about questioning our life as much as it is playing out an addiction to an emotional state that we're trying to cover up and suppress. This is what all unhealthy habits do. They are just keeping us satiated so not to address the underlying cause, the underlying issue. What are we feeding ourselves to provide some stimulation and distractions so that we're not dealing with something deeper? And then just knowing that, great. And then whenever you feel ready to address whatever that causal factor actually is, that's the part that's at your own pace. But I think it's very helpful
That's funny.
to truthfully speak when patterns are observed, that hey, this is actually what's happening, just know what's happening, and whenever you want to make a shift, if you do, great, awesome, but just it's nice to be clear on why things are happening.
Yeah, I feel also like, like the process is very important because I feel like, if you say like why and like just like start, I mean, yeah, why is good, but it's not enough. I feel like, like if you ask like why are the mountains, the way they are, or like why are trees the way they are, or I feel like if we start questioning, if our society starts questioning also like what is the circumstances that the mountain took to obtain this longitude and longitude, and why is there is all this ozone in our on the earth, and why why is what is start just thinking about the process also, because once you start thinking about the process, man, I mean, it just gets crazy. You just lose yourself in this
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well,
I'm okay.
the
So Joel, I'm gonna say this. I
hold on,
mean,
Nick, can I just say one thing to what
of course.
Nikolai, that's the process is huge for sure because that's how we start to transition into change.
Hmm.
Asking the question of why is kind of what instigates the process to take place, and because most people are just going to be lost if you drop them into a process, not understanding why they're doing it. And the context of why are the mountains like this, that doesn't really apply because that's really archetypal, and it's out of context. No one's going to be able to relate to that,
Yeah.
averagely speaking.
Hmm.
But
But no,
anyway,
I mean, eventually, I'm
next
sure people would relate. Eventually. But no, like you guys relate, so I mean, it's good. Once we start reintegrating this kind of information into our society, and I think it will be good. I mean, if we reintegrate it in a bad way, I don't think it should be reintegrated in a bad way. I mean, it's gonna be reintegrated one way or the other. It's so reintegration is the key point.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think you're right there, and that goes back to the two things we were talking about before. Do we do it from a place of judgment, or do we do it from a place of compassion? That's
Hmm.
really then where the choice comes down to is how
I
do we
think
Wow,
go doing
I'm
living
glad
our
that
life.
people are starting to realize that. Oh. Well,
Fear or love? That's,
yeah,
Mm.
I agree.
that's
Powerful point.
Just like any movement even of our body, every choice, everything is coming from a root consciousness. And if I choose love, then it will be love act. And if I choose fear, rather not choosing fear, you can't choose fear. When you're fearful, you're not choosing anything. You go by past experience, which is not now. And in love, you're always now here,
You
experiencing.
know
And
what? You know what? One thing about love is that whenever you love something or you love somebody, if you've hurt them in any way or you see how you've wronged them or they feel a certain way, majority of the time you will say, you know what? I apologize. I did not mean to make you feel this way. But that goes back to the whole ego part. Because we feel that sometimes in this conscious community that we are self-righteous and we know better than everybody else because we've had a certain sense of knowing, whether it not be food, whether it not be drink, whether it not be attitude, whether it not be just enlightenment just on spiritual guides that we've been ahead and been accustomed or we've been blessed to been able to have in our lives, then we sort of pass that judgment on, and when it comes to getting down and saying I'm sorry, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, dude, and I feel like also I want to add that I don't know if any of you guys have like I don't, but people that like having a kid, I'm sure like changes your life like that, and like because you kind of like I mean there's no like if you think about it like rationally, there's no no really reason to have a child. I mean they eat your food, they're dirty, it's like no there's no rational
Children are
rationale.
great. Children are
Yeah,
great.
and like but at the same time I'm sure like you would die for them, you would give them everything, and it's like you get into this twilight zone where your ego kind of like dissolves a little bit, and you don't really you see
Nicole?
you see things way better. And I don't know, like I don't have a kid, but for I'm sure like any people that are listening could totally like relate to that. Just like having a kid completely changes your life.
Oh, it definitely does.
Mhm.
It
well,
definitely does, but the saying that they are like dirty or whatever, it's not that bad. I mean, that's you came into existence because somebody tried procreated and said maybe we want to have you, or maybe it was a mistake or whatever, and it just happened, but you're here because of that reason. So
Mhm.
be mindful that you're a blessing, so it was brought for a reason, and
Mhm.
so you are a light that shines in the midst of everything else, and I think that we take for granted a lot of things, and I think we take for granted people and where they're at. And one of the things that I've been trying to do is trying to be as selfless as possible. But I've always been an honest and straight up person. If there's something wrong with the situation and if I've wronged somebody, I'll be the first person to say, you know what, I apologize. And I think that mending, the thing is that, and Skull brought up a good point. In the community, we sometimes there's a piousness that happens that you feel like, or as a collective, we know more than everybody else. So if they're not at this level, then you're not worthy, or you're less than, and
Right.
that's not the case, and that's a problem because if you want people to ascend or get that enlightenment, the only way you get enlightenment is being humble, is saying that I don't have all the answers. This is what works for me, but I might not know everything. but this is the route that I've gone down. But you have to experience this for yourself. Maybe I can give you sort of some of the things that I've realized. But if this works for you, that's awesome. If it doesn't, that's awesome too, because I want you to be able to experience everything within its totality of being free and learning on your own. And getting things and listening to the spirit on your own, because the spirit speaks to everybody differently, and that's the one big part about the understanding in this community, is that we are all one. We are all one and the same, but we all have different tasks. We all were placed here for different reasons. Not everybody is built the same way for a reason, because as to where, like Bonnie and I, we share a lot of the same characteristics. So I mean, I did a little
Myers-Briggs.
Yeah, right, I did Myers-Briggs, and her and I are exactly alike. But
ENFP.
I knew speaking to her the first day that we were exactly alike. Reading her tarot cards, I was like, oh my, everything lined up, and I'm like, you're me. Like that's the first thing I'm like, you're me. Like we were the same person. The same person. And I knew that. So we have something that is alike. But as for maybe Joel, or as for other people, they might be led to be teachers on another level. They're at a different spot, which can teach us another aspect and bring another awareness to ourselves. Christian, he's very maybe succumb, and he's very quiet and very meek. But in his secret silence, there's a strength that he can go ahead and give to other people. So everybody has a different role. So it's not about judging based upon what you've been able to do and saying that you're less than. It's about what role do you play in the grand scheme of things. Where is the spirit leading you to be the best you? Where are you listening to your higher self as for you being the best self that you can be? That's what it's about. It has nothing to do with judgment in any way, shape, or form. And if judgment comes into play, that needs to be eradicated immediately. I'm just sorry. It just is what it is. Now, there's certain things. Now, there's a difference between. Now, there are some.
Lame.
That is
dude, he was going deep.
Do you have something to say?
Oh, do I? What did I do? I don't know how this works. I just got here. Hello.
You muted another person.
I was trying to find the face button.
That's okay. We preview.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Do you have some? You could like jump in.
How do I don't really like. I guess so. But how do I? Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay. You can click on other people and mute them. And
no, I don't.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute him, man.
Oh, sorry. I'm
God
sorry.
damn it.
don't be sorry. It's okay. We are forgiving and loving and people.
No, like I just wanted to make your face bigger because I realized like I was looking at everyone's face and I was looking at this like circular palette skull thing.
Yeah.
I tried to click on your face. I didn't mean to like. Sorry, I was getting into it.
Dude, it's totally cool.
Yeah.
Seems like a perfect time to transition into something new, unless.
I want to
and,
piggyback just briefly
AJ
off of AJ's stuff.
Is like.
I'm done. I'm good.
You were going deep. You got to finish your statement.
Yeah, sorry.
Time, though. It's kind of. I'm sure his train is gone. He missed the train.
I didn't miss the train. I was on the train. Trust me. I was on the train.
AJ's on it all the time.
AJ is the train.
Yeah. But the thing is that what I was trying to say is that, and conscious awareness, I think that when we get brought down, we have to bring each other up, and when it gets, but there's also certain times where there might be certain things that are out of context or said the wrong way, and that needs to be pulled up on. It needs to be put on the front line, and it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed by a whole. Because when it comes down to it, we got to check each other. We got to check each. If we're in the wrong, I cannot be a friend to you, and I can't be loving to you and say I love you as a friend. And I see you, and I see you being judgmental, or I see you doing something that might be deemed just flat out wrong, and not bring up the awareness and just bring it up to your forefront. Am I being judgmental? No. Will I go ahead and say there might be other means for you to do a certain thing? Yes, because it just needs to be brought out there, and so it's just being honest and being upfront with people, because I mean we all love each other, and that's what we're supposed to do. But sometimes in that, I mean, we all have different personalities, and sometimes shit gets crazy. Shit gets
Good
crazy.
point, man.
AJ, I'm glad you brought up the importance of humility, because that is the gateway, the entry point by which we can actually truly grow. It opens us up to receiving truth, and then that is then the next valid point, is that divine will bring into your life truth in any number of ways, which can certainly take the form of meeting certain people, being engaged in certain conversations, being perhaps triggered by one thing or another, that act as a catalyst to consider how some things are being perceived, or you're doing some things, and how they can be potentially shifted into to be delivered into greater levels of truth, to receive greater amount of love from those greater levels of truth. And it all begins with humility. So I'm glad that you brought up that point.
I think probably one of the biggest things that I see in not only myself but in groups of people who want to, change the world, whether they're activists or anarchists or spiritually enlightened people or anyone who says that they're trying to change themselves and change the world in any like drastic capacity, always has. It's very easy to fall into like self-righteousness and pretentiousness. Like a lot of the time, I go to these meetings and stuff, and like people say really insightful things. I learn a lot. But on the other side of that, it's very easy to get people who are like, "You're not even vegan. Like, do you even meditate? Like, what are you?" Right? And like, if we can't relate to the people who, yeah, exactly. If we can't be, humble and relate to the people who are different than us, or don't think the same way that we do, we're never going to get to the utopia, right? If we expect everybody
Amen.
to fall in line with us, right? We have to be able to respect diversity and cultivate it, and help each other grow instead of trying to like homogenize ourselves, right?
Right.
And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I think people make when they're trying to be enlightened, or whatever that happens to mean, right?
I
That's
think
why. That's why, Lane. If you really want to know what it takes to be that type of person, just like learn to love. Like
um, yeah.
I personally, I don't know. I
Case
think
in point.
I think it's more about like acceptance also. Like you have to like gradually just have to like, stop regretting and
I,
just
I want to
start
say I want
That's
to
what humility is. Humility is acceptance and taking responsibility.
yeah,
I want to
exactly. Yeah.
I want to say that not accepting anything in the world, actually not being in 100% full acceptance, or anyone or any trait or any attribute or anything like that, is like looking at the rainbow and say, that red color is not in its place. It shouldn't be there. Because the rainbow is combined all the colors. So accepting everything is like accepting that life is a rainbow and we're all part of that rainbow of colors.
Exactly.
I like that. That was good. That was good.
Well, that's why, guys, like whenever I put my username on, like I always put myself as Shadow the Hedgehog, is because like a lot of times people tend to be a little scared of the dark.
Hmm.
Like the dark side of them, and I pretty much like represent their dark side.
Well, I mean, we all have a dark side. We all have a side that could come out, because trust me, if I
Well,
really want,
but that's my role, right? Didn't you
that's
notice?
I don't think that's your role, Andy. It's
Like
a role
to
if you it's a role if you want it to be.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like showing people that we can overcome the dark side if we choose to.
I don't know if it's something to be overcome. I think that's a mistake.
It's not
Or
something to
I
be
feel like you can
integrated.
rise above it, but I don't
I
think you
just
can
don't know.
overcome it. I think you can use it in a productive manner and then give your life balance. But I don't think you can. I don't think you need to eradicate it. Like I don't think darkness is something that
There
you
needs to be a balance.
should or let go of.
Well, that's what I meant,
Exactly.
dude. That's what I
Is it?
Oh,
meant.
then,
Okay.
I
okay.
like the way you said that line.
Thank you.
That's why I always say.
I feel like we're all agreeing here. We're just arguing semantics.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Totally.
That's why
I
I
also.
always. That's why I always tell people that if you really want to know what good is, try to do evil for a day, and then you will understand it.
I think that people have an innate sense of what good and evil is. So I think that when it comes down to it, it's
I'm talking about breaking it down, like breaking down the norm between what's good and what's evil, because
I am too.
that's what.
I am too. But there's I think it's really simple. I think that people try and complicate it, but I think in the main gist of it, you know that killing somebody's wrong. You know when you feel
In
angry
most cases.
that's well in most cases
Like
unless but again that is rectified as well because if somebody's trying to go against your family or they're trying to break in, then you have the right to go ahead and make sure that you protect yourself. So I mean, and I've never been in a fight for one reason because my father told me this. He said, "You never get in a fight unless that person has threatened your life to the point to where you feel like your life is about to be taken. And if you ever feel that way, then you kill them because that's just the way it is. I mean, if I will only fight if I have to kill you. And if I have to get in a fight, then the fight's going to be over and you're going to be dead. And I'm going to be okay with that because I feel justified by that. Because I feel like you tried to attack myself. You tried to attack me and take me off this planet. And you're not going to do that. So before you try me, and when you're trying me, I'm going to try you. So whoever wins is whoever wins. That's it. So hopefully you get your blows in before I get mine in because it's just going to be a wrap.
Talking
That's
about
what.
violence, talking about violence versus
No,
force, and whenever anyone enacts violence, you have an inherent natural law right to invoke the amount of force required to simply diffuse the violence coming your way. To outright having to kill someone, I don't know if it could be so black and white because that might defeat part of the lesson.
I've never been in a fight in my life, and I'm 33 years old. So
So,
I'm
Well,
AJ,
well,
so
you're lucky, AJ,
no,
because
no,
I.
I'm not lucky. I'm not lucky. I choose my battles wisely. I'm able to go ahead and get out of fighting because I speak to people and I get down to a level. Now, it's been a rational thing with me, but if there's something that somebody punches me and they repeatedly try and do bodily harm to me on a consistent level, and I've tried to protect myself and defend myself, and I'm not winning, guess what? I'm trying to take you out. You're trying to take my life. You're done.
That's fair though.
You're
That's
done. That's it. That's it. You're done. I'm
Yeah.
done. There's no if ands or buts about it. I'm gonna kill you, and I will let it go when you stop breathing. Is when the fight's over. That's it. Because there's no coming back.
that's just your safety though. That's just you're ensuring your personal safety, and that's a human thing. And I feel like
That's a human thing. I'm sorry, and I don't feel like I have to say anything else by that.
Being
But that's the way I
hard.
gotta do
What
it.
about the heart? What about the circulation?
What about the circulation? The circulation is going to be done. You circulated your energy to me in a harmful way, and you tried to take my life. So I'm taking yours. Goodbye.
Yeah, but that's
You're
from a
you're
pure
done.
human standpoint, right?
yo, can I ask you a question, AJ?
Yeah.
Why would anyone attack you?
Well, that's the whole point. That's the reason why I've never been in a fight. I'm just saying, in a hypothetical situation, if that were to happen, let's just say some random guys. I was leaving a bar, and I had money on me, and let's just say I won a poker tournament, and I won $100, and the guy was pissed off that I beat him because he was supposed to win. He had all intent on winning that $100, and I walk out to the parking lot, and all of a sudden he's like, "Yo, bro, what's up?" And I'm like, "Yo, what's up, bro? What's going on?" He's like, well, that $100 is mine. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm going home. I hope that you have. It was a great time playing with you. Like it was just a game. Let's not take this to that level. And then he comes up to me and he punches me in my face. I'm gonna take that punch, and I'm gonna say, look, bro, seriously. And now if his boys jump in on me, and it's like a 2 against 1 or 3 against 1, there is no such thing as a fair fight. I'm taking everybody out. I'm sorry. You have now violated my space. Not only have you violated my space, I tried to go ahead and rectify the situation, but now you've come and retaliated and tried to make it to where you're trying to do bodily harm to me. Now my life's at stake. So it is. I'm taking it. I'm taking you
It's
out.
either you
That's
taking
it.
them out or they're
That's
taking
it.
you out, kind of,
Yeah,
right?
everyone
That's
will
it.
agree with that.
Done.
So fight for the death, right?
That's it.
Everyone will fight for their lives. Everyone will agree with that sentiment for the most part. But I still think in 99% of cases, obviously, we shouldn't be killing each other. Like that's
No.
not.
No, like I said, I've never. But again, I reiterate, I've never been in a fight in my life, and I've been in.
Every possibility is more morally justified under the right set of circumstances.
Right now, I've gone ahead.
That we should be killing people. Like no, that's not how we build a.
That's not the way. That's not the way to do things. But when all things are exhausted, and I've done everything within my means. Now, mind you, there are 3 situations where a fight was about to persist, and somebody did punch me in my face. One of the times, the Holy Spirit hit me, and I said something out of my mouth, and a demon was cast out. So the fight was over. I won an award. I was like principal in the newspaper, using nonviolence, whatever. Okay, that's fight number 2. The first one was actually a girl, and she smacked me around. She was doing whatever, and I literally just was like, okay, it's not right to hit females. But I have a different stance on that now, because if you're gonna do bodily harm to me, I'm sorry. If I'm trying to be nice to you and you keep wailing, I gotta protect myself in some way. I'll hold the hell out of you and I'll shake the shit out of you. But I mean, if you don't stop, then I ain't running.
I have a question to pose.
Well, dude, guys, I don't know about you asking these, but like, if I were to be in his situation, I would do the same because seriously, like, I've been through psychiatric wards where people would punch each other all the time. Like, I would
It's
do
out of
that.
it's out of protection for your own life. I'm sorry, it is. And
Okay.
at some point, go ahead.
There's nobody here who wouldn't try to defend their life with everything they had. Like that's just that's a human thing.
Okay.
No, but AJ, here's the thing though. Like AJ has a very good point because, you know, we could say, you know, we could keep saying that yeah, we're living in this like kind of utopian world, and you know it's great, but not really because it's kind of a realistic statement because. You know, if everyone's gonna like put their knuckles down, you know, of course everyone's gonna put their knuckles down, but you know, we're not quite there yet. So, it's we're not living in that peaceful world. So, you know, there is still, you know, conflict and, you know, I mean, of course everyone, it needs to be completely eradicated and we need to work towards that singularity, but, you know, it's more about the process.
But to be honest with you, even in the 3 instances where I could have been in the fight and it could have been escalated, I was able to defuse it. So it's taking the necessary means to make sure that you're justified at the point to where you've exhausted all your resources. And after that, after you've exhausted resources and you're still getting attacked, you got to protect yourself. I'm sorry. That's just the way I was always taught. And I hope that I would never get to that point to where I would have to take somebody's life because I would never want to do that to somebody. But if it's going to be my life or somebody else's, I'm sorry. I got to do what I got to do.
Gotta use your survival question. You had something you wanted to interject, and I don't think you got your voice heard.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I noticed that we're leaving out the possibility of just being able to incapacitate your attacker instead of just killing them.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
So,
Batman.
you know, just I just
What would
wanted to bring
Batman
that up
do?
because I think, you know, I used to be very,
What
I
would
don't
Jesus
know.
do?
Yeah, you know, I was gonna bring that up too. Is for AJ, I know, and myself too. Like Jesus' teachings have been a big part of my life, and I know they are for you. And he would say not to kill somebody, uh, I don't know. I think he would take the position of just like rising above the situation and
Yes, I agree.
That's what
uh,
I've
having
done.
mercy on the person, even though they're trying to harm you. Like, I don't know. I would
I've
encourage
done that.
trying to take the option that doesn't end in death. But
The allegorical Jesus would probably say that
just die.
any pain you do unto me, you do unto yourself, and then he
No,
would
but
that pain.
well, exactly. But the thing is that I've done that. So mind you, when I got
Yeah.
punched in my face and I cast a demon, but I was like in Jesus' name, and I spoke to the spirit, and I spoke to what was in that person. The fight was over. I didn't have to raise a hand. So mind you, I
Right.
did what Jesus would have done. But
Right,
what I'm saying is that if I'm getting jumped, if there is a situation
If
to
someone's
where
trying to kill you, yeah.
if somebody is trying to take my life, I'm going to take yours. That's it.
Yeah, but
I'm not gonna, there's
I'm
nothing
saying,
else I have to say about that.
yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I understand that. All I'm saying is, what if you have the ability and the know-how to just
If I have the
decapitate
ability, I
somebody?
will do everything within my means. I will do everything within my means to diffuse the situation. If it
Okay.
gets out of, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah,
I
I
do
understand. I just wanted to
everything.
bring up that point because I
I
wasn't
do
in.
everything within my means. That's the reason why I've never been in a fight to diffuse the situation. If it gets to that point to where I can't do anything else and they're beating me down, I'm sorry. It is what it is, bro. And
Yeah, I
that's
mean, if you're
it.
gonna,
I gotta
yeah, I understand.
intervene
I
and say,
understand.
like,
If you're
because
gonna,
I wanted to, I'm not trying to like start a religious debate or anything, but if someone says what would Jesus would do, and some other guys say, oh, what would Muhammad do, and that's just not good, man. That's where you just start
yeah,
wrong shit.
I kind of
It's
regretted saying
wrong.
that actually after I said it.
Yeah, no,
No,
I know.
no,
But
Well,
you
no,
know,
but he
I don't
was
think
It's,
here's
he was
yourself to
here's
any
what
it's
I
true
would say to
because
you.
the teachings of these allegorical people, they are from a time that is different from where we are now.
Yeah,
yeah,
And they're not around for you to ask, well, what exactly did you mean by that?
yes, exactly.
So
Yeah, I immediately had that thought after I said that.
but it's not about that. He said that only because he understands that we were raised in similar backgrounds.
Yeah, yeah,
But the thing is that I've done, and I can't even say that I've done them. I've been in situations to where I've been in a fight situation. One time I was in 6th grade, and this kid Brandon Freitag came up to me, and he thought I called him a cracker, and I never said anything to him. But he pushed me into this hallway, and when I was 10 years old, I had this dream about this demon, and then it manifested, and in the dream I said, in Jesus' name I rebuke you, and the demon it fell into this pothole, and there was the Holy Spirit was able to intervene in my dream, and there was this strength that came over me. Well, when this kid, Brandon Freitag, now 3 years later, comes up, and well, actually, yeah, about 3-4 years later, comes up and pushes me into the hallway, and he punches me in my face. I'm sitting there, and I'm pissed. I'm like, I want to punch him so hard, but I know that that's not the right thing to do. And I look inside of his stomach. Like, I can see him, but I look inside of his stomach, and I see the same demon laughing and pointing at me, just like in a dream. And before I knew what to say, in Jesus' name I rebuke you, it came out of my mouth. And I was like, whoa, what did I just say? Did I just say, well, there's 60 kids fighting, yelling, fight, fight, fight. And then all of a sudden he turns around, he takes his fist, and he puts it down. He's like, I can't mess with you. I'm so sorry. And he turned around and walked away. So the fight was over. So mind you, I have other people fighting my battles, but but you have to take everything on a situational standpoint. I will do everything to rectify myself in a situation, but if it gets down to the basis of it's your life or somebody else's life, I'm sorry. That's why in Florida we have the stand your ground law. If you feel like you are being harmed and harm is coming your way and you cannot defend, like it is to the point to where you feel like your life's going to be taken, you're allowed to take somebody else's life and you will not be convicted. I was happy when that judgment was set. Sorry, I
Since
was.
this is the paradigm shift setting, I'd like to put forward the notion to understand the whole correspondence aspect here. And if we find ourselves in any situations that are to this degree that, you know, and you survive it, that brings you to really ask, what is it that I've been projecting that roused this situation in the first place? Because it's all
No,
going to accumulate to
no.
be in that. Oh, absolutely, AJ. In a situation where someone's coming up to you to beat you, he's attracting. He's being attracted to you for what? You're putting out something that's drawing this experience to you, whatever
That's a
that may
good
be.
point. Yeah, like I think
And,
that's
and then
a.
and then and then AJ,
Go
you
ahead, Joel.
said that you saw the same demon in him that you saw in you, which just proves my point.
It wasn't in me. It was in my dream. The demon was not the demon was not associated with me. The demon was associated with something that I dealt with on a spiritual level in dream world, but in real reality, years later, I saw the same thing come up. But the way that I spoke in dream world was the first thing to come out of my mouth in physical form. So and I couldn't even, but it was with feather. It was with like a force that was something that wasn't me. So I can't even take credit for what I said because I don't feel like it was me. But
Well, then
outside of
AJ, then what was
But it
your
was
emotion
you.
when you like do what you're supposed to do that make the demon like come out, you know? Because the thing is,
I,
it doesn't come by accident, you know?
I feel you, but I didn't do anything to grant that or to warrant that. There are evil people. It doesn't matter what your intent is. There are certain things that happen in life sometimes that it doesn't matter how good you are of a person. People are out to kill you or people are out to get you nonetheless. And there is nothing you can do to guard against that because maybe they want something that you have. Maybe you have something that they saw that they wanted, and because that's their intent on taking it, they're going to do that.
Well,
And
this is what long term.
Well, what if you can be able to just think like this? Is that sometimes, like, just think of those human beings as just needy human beings, but they just don't know how to portray their needs incorrectly, and then they just take it out on somebody who they can lay their hands on. Like if you're an innocent person, you're more likely to get picked on.
That's exactly what it is. It's the unconscious messages that are constantly going
That's
out.
what I
I mean,
was like
a
trying
person
to.
driving on the highway is not thinking about, I want to get in an accident. It's not thinking about getting into accidents. And then they get into an accident. Well, okay, I wasn't thinking about getting into an accident, but I was thinking about something else that in bringing about the situation, that gives you an opportunity to confront, what was I thinking about? What was
Well,
I
that's what I
trying
was.
to bring some closure or recognition to that needed my attention, and I wouldn't get the attention there any other way other than for something drastic to happen.
Well,
This is
that's what
how it
I
always
was
plays
trying to
out.
say, Joel. In fact,
I,
this is how
absolutely, Andy, absolutely. I
that's
was
how
just
I
like,
get rid of
building on
this
that.
is how I get rid of bullies is instead of like trying to just care about myself and like just trying to improve myself only, why don't I can just say, what if everyone else needs it just like I am?
now, mind you, I have
Even
not been in
demons,
a fight
you
in my
know,
life.
even
Again,
demons, they have a need of their own, but
Yeah,
they
my
just
wallet's away.
don't know what to say. They're just like criminal prisoners that just like they just need something, but we just don't know what it is. And then next thing you know, we just like when we like let ourselves vulnerable or let ourselves down, bam. The best way is like put a firewall, like show love to others, and then eventually things that go bad will just eventually turn good or they just walk away from you because there's nothing you can do. They can do about
Sometimes
it.
you need to walk. Sometimes you need to walk away. It's not even about what they are going to do, because half the time, people that are not consciously aware or don't really care about you are going to do what they feel like they deem necessary, and it's a dominance thing. And especially with guys, because a lot of guys are trained and they're brought up, especially, and I'm going to make this a point to say this, because in the Spanish and ethnic communities, the way that they're brought up is the machismo. It's the, you got to be a man. If somebody does this to you, you got to punch them back. You got to make sure that you do this. And that's the way that it is. I was never brought up that way. I was brought up in a spiritual household to where it was you turn the other cheek. You pray about it. Let God fight your battles for you, because he's the ultimate maker and he's the ultimate one to say whatever. So that's the reason why my fights have ended, is because I've dealt with it that way, instead of dealing with it in the machismo. Like, if somebody punches you in the face, you punch them right back because you got to defend yourself, which would get you suspended, which now you have to do this, or you can get a record. Now you can go be in jail and mess up your whole freaking life because you felt like you had to be right. And that's what it boils down to. You had to be right. You had to make sure that you ended this situation because somebody did something to you, and you got to get the best of them. That's not the way I work. That's not the way I work. So I want to make that perfectly clear.
Yeah, no, I was clear on that. I know. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah, I
Brendan, you wanted
know.
to say something.
But what if there is an alternative way? Because
There always is.
Sorry,
like,
Andy, AJ, just open up some room for other people to talk.
Because,
Not
like, that's
that
the
you
thing,
guys are
like-
you guys are talking a lot, so just
for example, have you ever remembered the conversation that I had where I actually had a chance to talk to demons? That happens a lot. Like, here's the funny thing. Of course, demons, they haunt me all the time. Of course, I did
Victor,
kick
what
them
up?
out of my dreams.
Sorry, guys. I just want to say, like, or I think Christian had a point, but I was just gonna say, guys, like, I don't know if like I'm just reading this, but like sometimes, like, actually, I don't know. I'd be curious as to what Joel sort of thinks about this. But sometimes, and this is just my honest opinion, when AJ and Andy, when you guys share your stories, sometimes I feel like you're actually sharing your stories because there's like the ego part of yourself that is almost like not like bragging, but you're really talking about yourself a lot sometimes. And like, not that there's anything wrong about that, but I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It's just something within my ego is like recognizing
here's the
something
thing.
about
Yeah,
that ego.
I do
Here's the
understand.
Like
thing.
ego seeing
The
ego.
thing is
Where
that
it's just like, well, I talk to demons. Well, I fight people. Well, I do this. Well, I do that. Like, I think let's stop talking about ourselves so much. Like, for
I'm
all
not
of us.
talking
just
about
for me.
why do this or why do that. I just ask like, what if you
I
can
feel
do
you,
that?
Brendan.
Because the
I
thing
got
is
you
that
on that.
a
No,
lot
man.
of
I mean, I love
a
you
lot
guys.
of people
So
Yeah.
think about it. Like, I've also tried fighting for survival, but then eventually, when I came back and I asked myself, what will happen to that person afterwards if I were to fight for my own survival? Will they live to see the story, or would they be having the chance to change themselves?
And you know the answer to that. It would just be a perpetual cycle until people
That's why,
are
like,
given the opportunity to learn the lesson inherent in a situation.
that's why, like, sometimes whenever that's why, like, whenever
say what you're gonna say without talking about yourself.
well, when talking to somebody who's like hurting you or something, just like try to make them back away until like when they can't do harm to you anymore. Then after that, talk to them. Like as though they are just third person.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That resolves the whole conflict and even like the hate between whoever it is that tries to get a hold of me.
I've always, in like a physical like situation, I
Sorry,
just
guys.
like try to make the
quick
other person laugh.
Just a quick interjection. Whoever has music playing in the background, you can either mute yourself or
Dan, you got
turn on
your
the music.
Dan, do you have headphones working? Yeah, okay, yeah, he muted himself.
Awesome.
Yeah, Dan, if you just have headphones, I'll fix that. Oh, yeah, Juan's back already. Yo, what's that music, man? Zaffro. Zaffro's got headphones on?
Damn.
That's the jam, man. That's for the
I'm rowing the boat.
Actually, I want to hear. Alon actually had a point going back to like what AJ was talking about with like confrontations and stuff. But I know Christian had a point too. Okay, just to moderate this for a second, Alon, just share your point of response to that, and then we'll pass it over to Christian.
Right on. I just connected again. I disconnected before about some of the stuff that AJ said just before going to shower, before leaving the conversation. I just want to say, AJ and everybody, there is no reason that anyone would pick a fight with you because we are all one. And once you understand that, like if I understand that I am one with everything, then I stop messing with myself, then people stop messing with me because there is no reason why would anyone do that. And you can't get hurt if you're not if you can't get hurt if you don't believe that he can hurt you, like because he is you. And if we understand that he is me and I wouldn't hurt myself, why would I do anything to myself? Like of course any other animal or human being or any other creation is part of creation. I wouldn't hurt him. So I'm really saying like it's actually all good. And if I'm not messing with myself, then no one would mess with me. So even talking about a situation that would happen is just perpetuating this situation. There's just no need to talk about it. Because if we're just concentrated in the now, in this amazing, most beautiful now, which is we are talking with computers all over the world and about amazing subjects such as this. And this is the now. We're in this conversation. I'm just saying, like, if we don't think about negative situations won't happen. And when something happens, we will just spontaneously and instinctively react to them, and not in a way that, oh, I've thought about the situation already, I know how to react, And when
Well, do you mean by the fact that, in other words, if you don't fear that nothing can hurt you, then eventually nothing can hurt you?
I think it's more like
nothing
you are
can
related. You have more of a related thing to the person who's instigating something with you. You're more related to them than you may know. And
Yeah,
on
like,
some sort of level, you can find some sort of, I don't know. It could be anything because you can just find something that's there, and you can see like we're together. You're one of us, and we're all one of us. Like it's sort of like you kind of find that relatability, but you have to sort of like not like faking it, but like you have to put a face on and be like, hey, like we're not like enemies, like you and I. I can feel something.
I'd love to add a layer to this as well, because when we think about the not thinking about negativity and won't attract any, that leaves us openness for a certain naivete, whereby those ones who do not consider you friends, such as the powers that should be, for instance, they don't give a rat's. And there are certain global things that we're all subjected to experiencing. So to not think about negativity is to be blind to what does physically exist in our world. So it's the point here being to be aware of it, but then to not be reactive to it, but to respond in a more conscientious and enlightened way.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think it's like
everything is just
you don't associate with it.
We all got a lot to say.
You don't let yourself
like all those just like waiting to jump in on it. Sorry.
Yeah, man, this is good.
I can tell. Okay, so I was just gonna say real quick. It's just a quick thing, but it's so simple, and I think all of us are aware of this. But the idea of like when we see a bully, if that's what we want to use that generic term, or somebody who kind of what AJ was saying is like looking to start a fight, like don't take it personally. Like recognize the suffering within them, and then sort of do what you can to help mitigate the situation instead of like getting super defensive, sort of thing. Like defeat love with love. You don't defeat fear with love. Don't fight fear with fear, sort of thing.
Dude,
you can't let it affect you emotionally.
I want to say something real quick. Like I had an experience once where, like, I was like involved with, like I mean, it was kind of like, I wasn't really questioning the process well enough, and then I had a mystical experience where I kind of understood, got to see things from a different perspective, and you know, like I got to understand, like, you know, just like vibration of people, like, you know, like you know, everyone just has a very powerful vibrational feed. Like, for example, you know, in like if someone, like, for example, tells you, you know, you need to lower your voice, or you need to, you know, don't do this, well, you're probably in the presence of shit, because, you know, it's not what you want to do. And I feel like it's all about you and what you want to do. If you know, if it's that's what it comes down to. I feel like, you know, it's stay with, you know, your consciousness will generate, you know, the you know, your reality. So, you know, I don't know, like you know, like I feel like, you know, the paradigm shift community that Brendan has generated out of his own consciousness allowed other people to, you know, kind of have the sense of telepathy, that, you know, people just come, you know, together, and, you know, they're surrounding themselves, you know, that they're doing kind of the same thing. They're sharing ideas and sharing thoughts, and, you know, that's basically what it comes down to, in my opinion, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing, Nicole. In fact, here's one thing that I can share with you guys. This is from my time where I work with this one client who just like she doesn't know what she wants to do in life, and like she thought of cutting herself once and because like she just don't know who she is. That I keep asking her like, what do you want to do with your life? And she's like, Eddie, I don't know, and I felt like I'm hopeless. I'm not myself anymore. But I don't know how did I ask it or what happened to her, and I stretched her and I asked her like, how did that align with your goal? Somehow today, when I read her message, she actually screamed at me, like yelled at me and wanted to punch me in the face. And like here's how I dealt with it. Of course, I can be like AJ where I can punch her in the face or do something to defend
I would
myself.
not do that. Stop putting words in my
But like
mouth. I
here's
would
the
not
thing.
do that.
But like I told her that I know you're frustrated because what you did is just like what happened to that little girl that I mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago. Is that when you're stretched to that point where you are breaching your boundaries and you're like going off you're at a dead end, you will hurt me. But let me tell you that when you ask me, am I a disappointment to you? I say no. I forgive what you say. I don't care who you are. I just care that you have done well, that you deserve a fair hug from me. Can you do that? And and next thing you know, I got a message from her an hour later, and she said, "Thank you, and I love you, Annie."
Nice.
That's all she said.
That's amazing. I just want to share before I go, and I don't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation. I'm just looking through Facebook while I'm hearing you speak, and just seeing a lot of my friends from Israel, a lot of people from Israel that I got on Facebook, got this a lot of different status updates about the situation right now. But a lot, and this is the first time I can see this, a lot of people actually saying on the status updates on Facebook, changing their profile pictures to enough. Let's make peace. Let's drop the war machines and let's drop the hate and make peace for each other. And this is really really amazing. And there's actually one story just from yesterday or a couple of days ago that two families that their sons were murdered met each other and talked about peace. And I just want to share that feeling that I have now. I'm really excited about this.
That's awesome, man.
Things that are going on. It's
Dude,
this
I like
consciousness development right now.
Alon, what you're doing for Israel is like huge, man. Like, I mean,
Yes, yes.
I know it's, yeah, just the people you know and stuff, and Israel's not like a huge country, but like I think there's a little bit of pride that we can take in saying that, like, hey, you know, we're helping write history here.
Yes,
So,
yes, and
which is
I
a
don't know.
duty too, right?
Yes, yes, and I've talked about a little.
No, I would not really care about if I write history or not. What matters is that did the people, individual there, live differently afterwards? Is that will they achieve peace or and help us bring enlightenment to one another? That's all I care about.
Which I think is the same thing. So.
That's a great
Oh,
point
there you go.
because
Like
often
I don't care about writing history.
people who are in positions and roles of, whether you're a shifter or a healer or whatever, and sometimes the ego part does play in, and you want to have a big contribution, big role to play, and sometimes that's not what you need to be doing. Sometimes you're playing your part just by helping this one little person with one little task, and they go off to do their monumental.
Yeah. Yesterday I ran into an old friend of mine, and he just got back from Germany, and when he came back, while he was there, he adopted a dog that had been like mistreated and stuff. It was like a hunting dog that was afraid of gunshots, so it was like useless to them. But just the idea that he took this dog into his home, and now he's giving this dog a chance who otherwise probably would have been left for dead or something. And I was like, man, like you're doing a huge thing right here, like helping another being who otherwise would have been left for dead, like that.
Yeah.
That in itself is still so important just for the shift in consciousness, because it's changing himself, and I think other people will see that and everything too. But the ways we change the world can be very simple. It could mean like spending more time with your grandma or something like that, or just doing whatever. So it's not always big.
Local is global.
Local is global, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I wanted to add something else too. This idea of war, like no one really wants to go to war when it comes down to, it's total, it's hippie bullshit. No one wants to go to war.
Yes.
It's not like, everyone is meant to, love each other, because human beings, our DNA, is designed to express itself as much as it can, like, express love, express sexual desire, express art from art.
That's why love is the greatest beauty, and that you expand a lot with it.
Right.
Like
Right.
your God wants your love already. It's funny.
Yeah.
We have to practice love. I mean, that's the thing. I think up to this point, a lot of people in society haven't had a lot of experience with love, like, which is why something such as like the free hugs, that's like
Exactly.
nice.
So
It's
I think
nice, like, way to get their toes wet.
here's
Sort of.
like something that I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but like the greatest love that I personally found for my personal life is like I found that children tend to be like the best source for it, and I like you know what, this is the best place to start spending time to learn what love is.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea that like we're always
we ever can like spend the time to pay attention to young little children.
Yeah, and we still are those children. That's the thing. We can't forget that. Just because we're big and grown up doesn't mean that, I think children doesn't just mean people who are ages, like 0 to 9 or 10 or whatever.
Exactly.
I think children is like sort of like the internal, it's something, I think I think it means something more, I think it refers to like that internal like love essence or spark or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here, but.
Well, isn't
Yeah,
children
man, I agree.
also more of like the psychological stuff where like
Sorry guys.
where people who are considered children by psychological profile, doesn't they also being honest and being loving in
That's
such a way
right,
that
yeah.
they are willing to give it without ever like concerning like their own personal rewards?
Yeah. Well,
That happens a lot with children, There's one
Yeah.
child when I work with, like, here's the funny thing. Like, I was in class, I was teaching classes to 8 or 9 year olds. This one 8-year-old girl came by and sat by my lap. At first, I was, like, a little uncomfortable because it's, like, pretty hot, And, like, at first, I just don't mind, but then after a while, she didn't move. And she even leaned backwards to where close to my chest is, and I was like, child, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, she said, I felt comfortable near you. And I said, oh, what part of me are you comfortable with? And what do you want to tell me? And she said, I want to tell you that I love you for who you are. I know that from deep inside of you, when you're enjoying that self portrait, you're like a girl. And you don't look like a girl. You look like a mom to me. It was from that moment I was like, I guess she did tell us the truth a little bit about ourselves that
Yeah.
somehow I forgot. I forgotten that I'm also a great father, but all this time I just thinking that I was a demon.
Nah, man, you're an angel. What are you talking about?
See, this is interesting, guys. Like, I'm just kind of looking up. Actually, Joel, maybe you can run a Google search on this too. But I'm just kind of looking up like the history of the word children, like the phonetics behind it, sort of where the word came from. Based on just some quick stuff I did, it looks like the word children is actually more synonymous with womb, which is kind of interesting because like being again, so like the womb when we're in the womb, that's like a more direct connection with like our mother or Gaia or that essence sort of thing. But yeah, I'm just kind of talking to what I'm
Yeah,
seeing.
I
But
was
if anybody
reading.
comes up with like where the word children came from, like what it actually means.
I personally don't know, but like from the data I met those children are like they showed a way where like they don't say it, but like they express it through emotions. That's why like sometimes when you see a child start leaning back on you or like wants you to put their arms around you, like that's a sign that they're telling you that you're their angel.
If we're talking about the history of the word, I can share what I know from the Hebrew language.
That would help. Yeah.
It's a very ancient language, and in the word in Hebrew is yeled, which is a children, male children, and it is the same word as someone who is giving birth. Like it's the same meaning in Hebrew. Like yalda is someone who gave birth to someone, and also a female child, like a female kid. So it's like the starting point of giving birth all the time to new stuff. Like being a kid is to give birth, to create.
Which
That's
goes
the
back to
meaning
the
for me.
idea that like we're always still children, like we're always still in that womb. Like I love the idea that not a single person on this earth has actually been born yet in like a real spiritual sense, so to speak. Like all of us are still like in that embryonic state in terms of our potential of evolution or something. Like I think it's very
Well, how do you
interesting.
know if you are born spiritually? That's the thing that I want to know.
Mm.
Because once you know, it's like you're heading towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I haven't heard from AJ in a while. AJ, you still there? I don't know if AJ's not there. Okay.
Brendan, the point you just brought up, that how do I know that we're all still, embryos, if you will. Well, that in a way is impossible to know because, like, let's say the people who are being born in this day and age that are coming much more heightened in their consciousness and their ability to give and receive love, we don't have any recognition of them in public light, and there's no fame around it, so we can't really know that that's not happening right now.
Well, that's the thing, Joel. How do we know that we're there?
You feel it.
Well, to know in that sense, it's like you need a measure of comparison to know what it's not to be like that. I mean, to be in that state, and to even know what that state actually is. Andy, you do a lot of contemplation and meditation and exploration, so you have a range of experiences to gauge when you're in a more coming from a more enlightened place and when you're not. And maybe it's not fixed all the time because you haven't surpassed yet all the challenges that you need to overcome. So, and not to say that there won't be challenges whenever you reach a higher point of consciousness, but if you see recurring patterns of you running across the same challenges over and over, maybe use that as a gauge of whether you're at a much more enlightened place or not.
Yeah, man, I totally like. I want to share this experience I had. Like, this one time, I was like sitting down and like I was like focusing on one point of the room. You know, I was on my visual field, and like I was seeing like I was focusing really hard, and like I realized like time just started like slowing down, and just like I kind of like started having this revival epiphany that what would happen if just time suddenly just like completely just stopped, and and like the relativity of electrons and atoms, like how fast they go, because they do move around the atom, and I started thinking that, and like I was like, you just mentioned, the consciousness, like you get to a point uh, when you get higher consciousness or whatever you want to call it, but like I was wondering, if time just suddenly stopped, where would everything go? Because it's not like everything just freezes. It's more complex than that. Because
Everything's moving, and if it
Well,
all
here's the
stops, wouldn't it all just crumble? Wouldn't it all just
not really,
gravitational
because
pull is
it won't
pulling
crumble,
everything together.
because how are you the atoms are gonna move at a rate, and the rate equals time. So I mean, how what is gonna happen to rate then if time stops? It's a very
Nicola,
scary.
here's a consideration. Maybe if the time, as you put it, was dropped out of perspective for a moment, you would have the awareness to see what's in the space between the atom and the electrons and everything else that science can't even measure yet. And I imagine
Talking
it
about
never,
dark matter.
perhaps, but here's the thing: you'll never be able to find a finite point where, okay, now we see what's at the heart of this. Now we see how this works exactly, because there will always be a more minute scale. There just hasn't been a tool yet invented to identify what that is. So it's an infinite loop, as the macrocosm is known as the microcosm.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's
But to put in perspective, none of that is a marker for enlightenment. That's just you having like a moment of, oh wow, there's this magic in the universe, and I'm a part of it. Everyone's a part of that.
yeah.
But I think what Andy was talking about before is, unless I'm wrong, Andy, but your regular state of being is always coming from a very enlightened place, and you're never coming from a place of judgment. You're always understanding that everything has its role and its place. And
Right.
how do you know when you're there? Well, that's the question Andy was asking, wasn't it?
I really agree with what you said, Tribute. That's just our natural place is love and easiness. It's not like fighting each other, but we go through this process of unveiling more and more light in ourselves. And I find that it's actually very easy to be in a place of love and creation rather than just it's like hating is and fighting is really an effort. It really takes an effort, but once you give that all that stuff up, it's really easy to just be, to just be present and enjoy and appreciate and be thankful. And that itself alone is creating a reality, because when I stop uncreating a reality that I don't want, I mean, I'm thinking about all these problems that doesn't exist actually, I'm just inventing them in my mind. Once I stop doing that and clearing my mind from all the chatter and the bullshit that I do, then I just be and enjoy, then I'm creating, because our nature is creation and love. You know, this is our nature. We create all the time. That's what I think.
Alon, that sounded, you hit a little light bulb for me there. I was thinking about, yeah, we're always creating regardless. It's just a question of where we're creating from. And I feel like when we are creating this harmony in our life, and that's because we are creating conflict, and that's actually depletion of our own energy, of our own spark within us, and probably one of the key contributors to why we ultimately die and feel weakened and disempowered. Whereas if we're coming from creating from a place of love, then that energy is from the infinite supply of source, who whatever that may be, and that then being why we can continue to live on and feel prosperous and to always have an abundance to be able to share in whatever means we wish to share. So where we're coming from, that's a huge piece right there, because in one arena you deplete yourself, your life force, and ultimately your physiology in your life, and in the other place you can gauge an infinite supply of energy to create from, and you create wonderful things from it that it just probably propels you to want to do more of it, and other people can bask in that.
That is exactly right, and I have many stories, especially from the last week or two, of that kind of creation out of, seems like out of nothing, creating this synchronicities and abundance out of nothing, just being and enjoying, created these abundance of stuff more than I would have needed. And then when I had so much, I could share with people around me and created this more and more, like, abundance and love in the purest way. It's just love, but it just expresses in so many ways. Whether it's food, it's a hug, it's connections, it's whatever, music. And I've been just through many processes in the last 2 weeks that I just understood that it's all love. And like you said, if we choose to, if we are aware of ourselves, the more mindful we are of the present moment, of this continuous, endless present moment, which is always is, I think we can choose how to manage our body in a way that we can choose how much can we live on this planet or in this body, and we can choose when to leave the body as well. But
Yeah,
that's just
totally. And being sovereign over your own, like, just being. That's what you're saying. Totally, man. Totally agree with you.
just being in Kabbalah. It says like the crown chakra. It's a crown because it's like being a king of your own kingdom, as per se, control and being mindful of everything that you do always, in a matter of not doing anything by automatic. If I'm present right now, then anything that I do is by pure choice of love. Even moving the mouse in a way, and every breath I take is conscious. Then I'm present, then I'm creating all the time. Because there's actually no reason even to trip on a stone on the street. There's actually even no reason why did it happen, because if I'm mindful of everything, then I would never do, I would be always aware of the things I do and say. I would never say something that I don't want to say. I would never do something that I don't want to do. And there's no reason to say things that I don't really mean them, because I'm so present. I only say things I really mean and want to, and I know where I'm going.
Well, that sounds like a beautiful place to be coming from, understanding where you are in the tree of life. I mean, if you have never tapped into Qatar and you're always living down in Malkuth, you're probably not going to be manifesting much good. So you need to travel that path to be able to have that degree of conscious awareness that you don't even need to stumble on a stone on the street, because you're aware of what otherwise tripping on that stone would have triggered you to recall.
Exactly, and this is why I would never create a situation when someone would hurt me, because I know everything that I'm doing. So I am the world in many ways. I am my reality in many ways, and this is all just a reflection of me. Even this conversation and you guys, from my perspective. From my perspective, this is how I experience it. And being so aware of things that you always, I thought about it. When I am fearless, it's actually, I am love always. Then even if I go to where the rockets are landing right now in Israel or whatever is happening there, I won't be hit because I understand it's all bullshit, and I don't fear nothing. It's just like, hate me as much as you want, but I'll love you always because I know what's beyond this illusion per se. And now I can't control what you say, but I control how I react. And my reaction is the creation of another thing. This is what I can control per se. But if I react in a certain way, there's no, I can get out of any fearful situation that we could have imagined or we saw on the Hollywood industry movies, like this horrifying situation. But if I don't imagine, if I don't get in my mind on this situation, they won't happen because I'm not afraid or worrying about anything because I know it's all good. It's all love. That's it.
And if you happen to find yourself in a field of falling rockets, maybe you are.
If I find myself in a field of falling rockets, and I've thought about it a lot, even in the previous wars in Israel, I would want to make a video of me sitting in a field while there's, I don't know, alarms and stuff, and I'm just sitting there and like not caring or not giving a shit about that, because that's just perpetuating hate, and I don't want perpetuating hate. I want to continue living and loving and create amazing stuff, So that's it.
Very cool, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. I feel like also like creating, just focusing on life itself. Just like it's like that's the most important thing that we must do. And like just like I remember, man, like today, like I gotta share this story. Like I saw this. I was like looking through like my friend's. Well, he was a chemistry teacher and a pharmacology teacher, and like I was like, oh, he's a really smart guy and a man. I completely like I would consider him as my mentor, and like I was just like looking through his pictures, and like I like completely like like I started crying because like like his family was like beautiful, and I felt like this man is a powerful human being, and it was really like whoa, like it's crazy, like it's really beautiful what people like have these days inside of them, just like their patterns they project, not always the patterns they project, but it's really it's so beautiful. Like humans just it's just like I don't know how to explain it. I don't even have words for it. It's so beautiful.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
and you are too in many ways.
Thank you. You too, sir.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it. Like we speak a lot about mentors and spiritual teachers, but don't we need not to forget that we are all part of creation. We all contain the same materials, or I don't know, just light. We are all came from the same light. We're all branches of the same tree, so we can all be equally awesome. Like we can't put like this person on top and this person below, like say, yeah, it's all one. No, it's all one when everything is like on the same vibration. Like we can learn from everyone the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like we can learn all the time, and this is the way we expand always. Even from a child on the bus, a lady crossing the street, the seller on the market, and the Dalai Lama, and Will Smith. I don't know. Everyone can teach us something, and we can all teach them as well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, totally agree, man. There's beauty in everyone, and like people just have to like enjoy their uniqueness, and it's just like embrace and project their uniqueness to a point where we break this, we make the ripple effect, so called. Like the physicists say, the ripple effect. You just rip the reality into like universe. Yeah, dude, totally. And transcend. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Dan Mangan just wrote like just gotta breathe, that it's his motto, and it reminded me that I read something that Matthew Silver wrote today on Facebook, and he was on Paradigm Shift Radio not a while ago, and he said something really beautiful that I really relate to, because I'm going through the same process as well in the few couple of days. And he wrote, this is a quote, part of the quote anyway. Someone is telling me someone is telling Matthew Silver a story, and he's telling that. So he's saying, he told me his story that he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, MS, and bipolar disorder. Doctors consider him disabled with severe life-threatening health issues. But he is now no longer disabled, has no health issues, and takes no medication. He told me he did this through present mind meditation and focusing on love. He basically dropped his constant mind chatter that told him he was sick and he would never be healthy again. This was very inspiring to me and really got me focused on repeating and embracing the moment even more with the mantra, love here now. I really relate to this because
Well, there's nothing new
like
about that.
everything you can choose is like whether fear or love. And if am I fearful of something that might happen, I'm really thinking or worrying or stressful, like wait. Let's stop this bullshit mind chatter about fear. I don't believe fear anymore. I'm not fear. I'm love, and I want to perpetuate love, and I want to be love. So I choose love now, and I know that things will be for the best. I know it for sure. That's when I give opportunity to everything and not confining reality with this. No, I know I've already done this, and this is probably going to be bad. Just letting go of that. Like, no. I choose love here now, and let's see what's going to happen, because I'm willing to give that person or that situation a chance to go better in a way that I have never imagined and thought about before.
But do you agree that? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you agree that you were saying like no fear, but do you agree that there is love in fear itself, and there is fear in love itself? So it's kind of like that yin and yang perspective that like there is the good and the bad, and inside there's just like all it's really all what it comes down to. It's all reality, and reality is this ultimate loving noise that you can't really explain. And I totally, yeah, I agree with you. No, love is very important, and like I feel like it's in everything, that it's just like it's in fear.
Love and fear are two diametrically opposing frequencies. They can't be you can't occupy the same presence of those at the same time. I have never heard an account of anyone being able to say that they've done that or experienced that. You're either one or the other, or in a greater degree, you're expressing of one slightly inhibited, because not all of you is 100% pure love or 100% pure hate. But in that moment that you're acting upon consciously, you're either one acting in one regard or the other in what you're consciously aware of. You cannot be acting out in both. It doesn't make any sense, logical or otherwise.
Well, y'all, I don't know about you guys, but like when you mentioned about love and meditation, I wish that in every counselor's office or even in schools nowadays, I wish they taught that to kids, to college students from the very beginning before they enter college or do anything.
Well,
But
Andy,
a lot
you're
of
gonna
times,
have an opportunity to do that yourself.
well, unfortunately, when I get trained in psychotherapy, they didn't teach that.
Yeah, but you can teach that now.
I hate how
I know.
intimidated people get about the idea of meditating. I've been trying to convince so many people, and they just like, oh man, I just can't make time for it. But it's like an hour is 2% of your day or something like that. So, and even if you just
Exactly,
take 20
Victor.
minutes to just try
Here's
like
the
a,
one.
just take a breathing technique. Just start off with a simple breathing technique, and then just go from there. Because the breathing technique isn't really gonna do much, but it's like an easy start at least. Because I know so many people who like totally overestimate how hard meditating is. It's even though it's like not at all. Like all you have to do is just
Exactly,
all you have to do is
Victor.
sit by yourself. It's literally the easiest thing you can do. It's comedic how people like totally like imagine a monk like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like people totally over
Yeah.
like estimate it and you just gotta like you know people think like what's the word like being optimistic is about thinking good things are always going to happen, but I think it's more about just accepting whatever bad situation you're going through and just sitting with it and just like feeling it for what it is and then letting it pass so you're not like holding it. Like you're not holding the fire because it's just going to burn you. And like that's sort of like the step towards starting to meditate and starting to like feel love. You got to kind of like go through your demons and just let it hit you. Just kind of take it. Just take the hits, and then afterwards you're just not gonna feel as bad. You know, it's like almost like ripping off the band-aid.
Well,
Yeah, I agree
exactly,
with
dude,
that.
Victor.
When you like,
Did you know? Did you know that when I teach meditation to some people who have ADHD and some with autism, like children with autism, these people are extremely hyper. They would yank
But
my
to get
hair.
your opinion, what do you think about ADHD? Because I know so many people who have been diagnosed with it, and they're just like regular. Just I've been
Well,
diagnosed
me,
with it.
because I was diagnosed with it for 2 years. That
Well,
ADHD is
I think
just, it's just like autism. It's just another spectrum of giftedness. It's just a gift. That's all that is. It's
I like
just like,
the how they describe it as hunter gathering. Those people who are more like jittery and want to like is looking at stuff like they're like kind of picking up the hunter gathering of their ancestors, whereas other people who are just more like reserved and can kind of sit and like be in a classroom, you can say they were the
I
farmers
wouldn't even
of the.
say that either.
You wouldn't say that?
Because first off, it's when you say that, that means it's genetic in some people, but not in others. When in reality, all of us have a tendency because that's our ancestor, right? So what
Indeed.
makes them, the person who's in the classroom, different from us? The only difference is somehow we didn't let our guard down. We let our traits go rampant, or something in our body is not going well with whatever it is outside of us.
Andy, it's going to be related to the totality of the environment. If it's now recognized within any scientific stream that matters, that the genes are programmable in our body. So whatever you might be genetically predisposed to, that can
But we're not
trigger, but that can also
predetermined.
be overwritten. So predetermination is really an older way of thinking about ourselves, how we work, and our potentiality. When we
Well,
can
that's the
actually
thing is that
nurture what we want to be, and now, granted, most of that was out of our control in growing up, which is why we have a lot of stuff to deal through. But when you begin to recognize that and you actively take a part and role in shaping your environment, what you're around, whom you're around, the thoughts you hold, the anything you hold really, then you can start to activate or deactivate genes within you to ultimately achieve a higher expression of yourself in a
well,
physiological
that's
sense.
the thing is that predetermination or not, the thing that that really humanity shouldn't be even holding on to is the fact that we're slaves to it.
What?
That we shouldn't be slaves to anything that uh, that so-called we are determined to be that way, because when the moment we say that, that's the moment we are enslaving ourselves into a system that is like, that say that we don't have to do anything else. That's why I always tell people, do what you need to do and the environment will change you. Or you can change it too. Or just do what you will.
Yeah. It's like I tell it to people all the time and to myself, like always do what you feel like doing.
In fact, this is what many times I try telling to social workers, psychologists, even counselors about this. And the only group of people that listen to this is the coach. See how strange that is? Many counselors, like, all they can do is they would dig up your past, they say how broken you are, and then they say, accept the fact that you can't change it. And what are you feeling right now? See how sometimes when we go to psychologists or any counselors, like how they've broken us as a human being, it misconceptualizes who we are as human beings. When we, in reality, when psychology should be saying that we are unlimited, we should be thriving from psychology. We should be thriving from science, not being enslaved. But look at what we're doing. Look at what we're researching.
It's the Terminator
Are we making
theory.
a difference by?
Well,
by technology.
that doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. Like, the research is there to be done, and you could isolate uranium, and you could poison a whole population with that, or you could understand physics and you could do all kinds of beautiful things with it. So I
Which
mean,
is why, like, I always talk to my school counselors that if you really want to help make a difference in people's lives, try, like, I would ask you, what would one thing will you change first to let that person change in a positive way?
What are you talking about in terms
I'm
of?
talking about, like,
No, in terms of predetermination, like, are you
it's
talking about
like
like say if like a high blood pressure runs in your family, or are you talking about personality wise, whether you're more like your parents, or what are you talking about?
I say fate. I guess you guys didn't listen, right?
No, you didn't actually get that across, Andy.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying fate. That's what I meant by predetermination.
Yeah, that's totally, yeah. Like, I agree with that part. I was just
The fact that we are
talking about like at a moment I thought you were talking about like certain things like, oh, if dementia runs in your family, it's predetermined that you're gonna get dementia, and I know that's probably not like, it's not gonna be the exact thing. You're not gonna get dementia, but there is a high probability. Science, we have the science in order to predict it, but
right. But here's the funny part.
You're born with those predispositions. Yes, there's no denying that. That is physiologically traceable. But what we're talking about here is being able to change your environment so that you're not expressing those original predispositions and rewiring yourself to be able to express basically just higher aptitudes, whatever you can possibly.
That's what I was trying to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And Andy, I think that what you hit up against a lot of with the things that you run into with counselors and whatever. It sounds like a lot of them, they were obviously indoctrinated within the Darwinism thinking that everything is about survival, and whoever is able to outwit the rest is that which comes out on top. But this is not the case, and anyone who actually looks past some basic indoctrination will realize that it's cooperation That is our natural blueprint to thrive, and that is our natural birthright. But as we've talked about many times in the past in these conversations, it is the society has been designed by those who are only operating out of fear and limitation in their thinking. They're designed and constructed society whereby we are actually frowned upon to look at anything outside of that frame of thinking. And the fact that educational institutions continue to teach Darwinistic type thinking only perpetuates that. So really what this all comes down to is once that you know better, then you just got to do your part and bring your piece of the puzzle, your piece of knowledge to the floor, so that these people can digest it, and hopefully they'll do something with it. Maybe they won't. Maybe probably won't.
Here's the great thing: is that at least one counselor actually knows what I'm talking about. I'm not crazy.
Well, no, you're not crazy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Everyone else who's following in this boxed mentality, they're the quote crazy ones because they've been manipulated. They've been manipulated.
Right. And in fact, here's the funny thing, Joe. I don't know if you study psychology or like psychotherapy, but like there's this force like new wave of psychology where like it just recently reemerged in the 1980s. It's called transpersonal psychology. It's like for the first time we actually they reintegrate the human soul back into the scientific realm of psychology. That was like, for God's sake, that I was thankful that they did that. Because seriously, I couldn't even I don't know what to do without the human soul. Because I've seen a lot of people who are mentally ill. They're not mentally ill because there's a brain disorder or there's something wrong with their mind. There's something like missing in their soul that makes them that way.
It's kind of like traditional psych.
Yeah.
It's like traditional. It's like traditional psychology doesn't take into account that whenever you're acting out in some way that is outside of any recognized norm, that's because you actually have conscious awareness or connection to something beyond just what is this apparent projection of me. How does the greater strife of the world fit into this picture? And you perhaps internalize that in some way because you're connected to this macro consciousness, or whatever else it is that you may be connected to. Who knows? But the point is that when you bring that spiritual psychology component and integrate that, it finds lots of place for safe expression of that. And finally coming back to judgment, it doesn't judge that as something out of place, but as it has a role to play. So let's explore that and see what the message is coming. This Andy is completely normal.
Well, that's the thing, Joel, and like that's why I at the beginning of the chat I was like, hey guys, hold on, I need to ask Joel something since you brought up like coaching from on one of my webinars or like on one of the Paradigm Shift radios. Like, here's the funny thing that I personally don't get from coaches, where like when I look at them, I thought they were like counselors. Like, to what like I had to ask, like, to what extent does a coach or a spirit guide looks into your past, and for what intent? Like, what is their intention or like focus when they look into your past? Is it to like help you reach your goal, or is it to heal people? What is it?
It's
because how is that different from counseling?
Sorry, that's your question? How's that different from?
Yeah, how does their focus on like different from to have a counselor, like their intention? Like, what is their focus?
Well, when you're looking at counseling, that traditionally you're just looking at working on your thinking and in generally how you reflect on yourself, strictly in the mind. But a coach can be a bit more involved in the sense that you can be involved in any day-to-day activities and bring a practical aspect whereby you're connecting, we're changing, we're adding perspectives to your frame of thinking, and now let's apply it. So coaching comes into, we're not just talking about ideas. Okay, great, we recognize that, la la di da. Now, are we implementing this? So this is why coaching takes arena in so many different domains, whether it be working out, eating, running a business, anything.
Because I get rumors from coaches that they keep telling me that it's harder to be a coach than to be a counselor, because a counselor would probe your mind, ask questions, and help you gain insight, and you do it, but the counselor doesn't do it. Versus a coach, we co-create it, where we do what our clients do, and more. But I wonder to what extent is that true or not, because I don't know how many of you guys ever been through counselors or been diagnosed with crazy stuff or like that, or ever met a coach. I don't know. What is your experience?
I wasn't diagnosed with anything, but I think that a lot of these problems, like the diagnosis itself, is so not giving hope to anything. Like labeling someone as you're diagnosed with this. He starts believing that he's diagnosed and there's nothing to do about it. So like that's it. That's the limit of his life. And I really think that the way we diagnose is certainly not thriving from psychology and science. It's like limiting ourselves to these limitations of thought and power. Like, you know what, you are limited and you can't do anything about it, so just like live like that. It's not giving any hope to what can you do about it and what's your next step. And I think a real master, like a real coach, a real helper, would tell you you can start now changing what you thought that can be changed, and always giving hope and example that you can do it. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's like you need to tie in all three domains, and perhaps spiritual psychology might even fall short here, because when we're talking about addressing like complete coaching, we'll be addressing body, spirit, and soul. So to bring our thinking into alignment, that's one layer. Then to bring understanding the why such things exist at the soul level is the other layer, where spiritual psychology can be wonderful. And then to actually make the connection is to take physical action, so that you are not only integrating the experience of understanding why I was thinking certain ways and I was reacting that way as a result of it, and it wasn't really serving me too well. So now that I understand why, I'm going to shift my thinking this way and act on these new habits. And now you're addressing the complete package and not leaving anything out of the equation, not leaving anything to chance. You are taking full ownership of your expansion, of your evolution.
Right, Joel, here's the funny thing. Did you, I don't know about you guys, but, it's pretty funny. I read upon this one psychiatrist, where this is, during the 1869, he's a psychiatrist from Italy, where he went to this psychiatric ward. This is, by far the most dangerous psychiatric ward in all of Italy, because people who are there were thrown into they were very schizophrenic to the point where they got restrained, they got electroshocked, or they get drugged. They only have those medications. Yeah, lobotomized also. That's the only 3 or 4 options that they get from that particular hospital, and nothing else. they don't even remind that they are cured of anything. They sometimes are restrained if they're athletes. But somehow that doctor changed the work there, where instead of doing any of those treatments, he provided another alternative way. That he actually out their wards, treat them with love and respect, with compassion, where they are held accountable for their own health. And he instead open communicate with them and took them out onto a park. Like, just imagine those people going out to the park when you know that it's not reliable enough to get them out when you know that they have a reputation being dangerous. And like from that day, like it only took a few months. The whole entire psychiatric ward, from being the most dangerous ward to being the calmest. Like all the patients were like discharged out healthy and no signs of schizophrenia anymore, and they lived a much more successful life.
And you're telling me that happened from one session outside in a park, roaming free and experiencing love?
Yeah.
That sounds almost unheard of.
Like severe people with severe mental disorders got cured, got healed because of love, because of showing compassion, just because they are held accountable for it and they will work hard for it.
No, what sounds impossible to believe is that they would be released, because that's well outside of the system of institutional thinking.
But like, that's the thing, they were tested already for weeks before they got discharged.
Okay, well, they left that piece out.
They weren't even committing one single act of violence in the hospital, so obviously they had to be discharged because there's no need for treatment anymore.
No, Andy, the thing I asked about that, are you saying that it was one person who was overseeing the therapy of all these people, or was it multiple people that were overseeing therapy?
That means one person overseeing like 30 or 40 psychiatric patients that are like severely schizophrenic and very violent. The treatment that he creates, not by what the institute creates.
Okay, well,
and he only showed love.
That's great. That's not surprising. And what you commonly see in institutionalized type settings is that there is a number of factors at play. One is there's a lot of people that are overseeing the quote therapies, and then there's a lot of inconsistency as well, oftentimes with the delivery of these things. So the fact that they're not coming from a very loving place, oftentimes in terms of the design, then the fact that they're carried out inconsistently means that what a person or a patient is going to be regularly exposed to is that they can never know what to expect. So everything's chaotic and erratic, and that then is what continues to be cultivated within them, is that they don't find a baseline at all. They just keep getting mixed messages and perpetuating the problems. Now,
Well, that's the thing, Joel. Did you notice that here's something really weird? That doctor reminds me of how coaching should be. That a coach, when they approach a person with so-called mental disorders, instead of calling them people who are broken, they just say those people are, how do you say it? They're just people who are setting goals. They just miss who they are. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know what they're doing.
I was gonna say, like, people back in the 40s, they would always blame the parents for, like, for example, if you had a schizophrenic child, they would always blame you because, people thought that, maybe the mother didn't breastfeed the child properly, or, he didn't kind of learn how to go potty, he didn't have proper potty training. That was, the main theory that people had in the 40s, and after the the discovery of certain things in the brain, people realized, well, dude, like, people didn't even realize that brain chemistry actually had something to do with, schizophrenia or depression or,
Yeah, but Nikolai,
Right.
the brain chemistry component is completely altered and dependent upon your parents actually, because the way that they're your first exposure to being nurtured in this world, and
And another
how
thing
they
is,
predispose you is what you're going to exhibit way down the line in your path, and something and looking from, like, when we look at this from our personal perspectives of what we experience as children and into our adulthood, if we were to very objectively, I know this is very hard to do, this is hard to do it on your own, but if you very objectively looked at what are your behaviors now, specifically the ones that you find don't serve you, that you observe in your own parents, one or both, and
right. No,
and then you
I
see
know,
how
I
this
know.
alters your brain chemistry.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. But that's why, like, it's very important, in my opinion, to just let the child develop and kind of, you know, teaching people, teaching kids how to think, not what to think. That's a very important thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and but no, like, yeah, um, yeah, that was my thing, I guess. But no, like, yeah, I feel like, my point is, because we were talking about schizophrenia, it's just like, we're getting to a point where we're really understanding the mind, because I mean, if you see all the breakthroughs that are done in neuroscience and other things, and of course, like, I'm not disregarding the like meditation and everything,
but doesn't,
just like
yeah,
the things
doesn't
that
schizophrenia,
thing help us understand about our own mind is just like really important for the human condition. Um, yeah.
yeah, but the question is what is causing schizophrenia, depression, or ADHD,
Well,
or I mean,
it could be a lot of things, Andy. I mean, it could be, it's either that your diet, it could be sleep deprivation. It could, because sleep, man, you don't know how important. You could go crazy if you don't sleep. I mean, you can, and it's maybe you lack certain vitamins. That could be also it. You could, it could be certain uh, you know chemical imbalances that something can cause, like it's either like someone in your family had it, or it could be like you could be like a really good relative of yours passed away, and your your subconscious didn't quite reintegrate that, so that's why people, in my opinion, they start seeing people say I talked to my mom, or I talked to some kind of, that projection is still there of the person you
but
loved,
when
and
but when it comes to the problem, one of the things that I can hard accept for me is
Andy, talk closer to your mic. You can't be heard.
yeah.
one of the things that is hard for me to accept about the indoctrinated information in psychology is the part that it said that schizophrenia is like a chemical imbalance, or like it has something to do with your genetics, say from your parents. And I was like,
Well,
so
there's really no understanding what it is. See, I could give you, a really strong chemical agent that will, alter your consciousness, and you get to see certain things differently, and you could interpret that as something that that is different, or something that is not something that's something else. And what I mean by that is you really don't it's really hard to understand because we
Nikolai, let me add another layer to this. I mean, we can look at the physiological stuff for sure. There's always a physiological representation of everything else that's happening.
Mhm.
The often the thing that can't really be measured by any conventional means is the spiritual influences. And Dan over there is talking about spiritual sickness. I'd like to elaborate on that. When you're growing up and you are just a big sponge absorbing everything around you and learning from all these experiences, you're like a clean blank slate trying to learn and figure things out. And sometimes what can come in might be um, a lot of mixed messages from your environment that completely trip you up. And if that is what you then build your learning upon, you can face a lot of conflict as you go out into the world and see that everybody else is coming from one direction and my understanding is coming from another direction, and there's just this discord, this mismatch, and you're at like this spiritual war within yourself. And and this, I don't really know how to describe this part too well, but another thing that can come into play here as well is spirit influence. I'll describe it like that because obviously we're not just physical beings, and when there are other spirits that have crossed over and that are not very enlightened themselves, you can't just assume that because a spirit has crossed over that they've learned and they're enlightened. That might not be the case at all. And the way that they then experience things is to vicariously live through those here in the physicality. And so if you're playing out some belief system that is, let's just say it's a negative one, it brings you discord and it brings discord to those around you or it creates an imbalance within you. Other spirits can feed off of that by playing on that, by subtly influencing you to continue down that path and prevent you from seeing a higher wisdom, a better way of doing things that serves your true purpose to be a better version of yourself. And it can be very difficult to overcome any of that unless you actually it comes into your awareness. So it's good to know that there are other things outside of the physical realm that can influence and play upon the discord that you experience as you grow up that can make it basically that can make it much more difficult and perhaps then experience things like the schizophrenia and any other so-called mental disorders.
Yeah.
And especially like those with personality disorder or DIDs, like I noticed that some of those people are like, ugh, wow.
Well, Andy, let me tell you something, man. Right now, you're talking to a very schizophrenic man, and I'm like completely crazy. So, just letting you know that, buddy.
Never knew.
No, but no, you're totally on point, dude. You should totally pursue psychology. I could totally see
Because
you.
seriously, like I felt like it's not fair that so many children nowadays were thrown into drugs when in reality I can personally help somebody with schizophrenia just by asking, what if that spirit wants to talk to you? Can you talk to him back? Can you help me communicate with that person? And he said, sure. And then next thing you know, we got connected and I helped that child out. And like, sometimes the spirit calms down already.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really the drugs. I think it's really all about the consent of kids taking drugs. Drugs are just, they're tools, and they'll just, they have a pharmacological action on your brain.
But like that was one of the strongest unresponsible way that the drug companies did the drugs. The
Very.
problem, that's how they modify it. They modify it in such a way that almost kill people, not heal them. I know where those drugs came from. Like Risperdal. Risperdal is the same one used in Native American, but they use it in such a way that it causes
Right.
more manic problems and sometimes kill children than
Right.
if you were to
Right.
help them.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. I'm angry at the fact that they did that to my child that I work with.
Mhm. Yes.
The same one that told me that she loves me, like as though I'm her own father.
Yeah.
Andy, whenever you are counseling these children, people, whomever you counsel in the future, you don't. It's good not to approach any of these things from to try to reach judgmental conclusions about why they're there, what brought them to be to that point, um, whether it was parental influences or whatever it may be, or whatever you observe that people around them judge them by. Like, don't not to carry that over into the the helping of that person, but to do what you do best and actually just accept them and allow them to see their own divinity. And then considering your affinity for all the psychological stuff and its integration from various aspects, consider that that can be, this is very much part of your calling, is to sort of redefine the playing field a little bit and create your own template of delivery within the realm of psychology to people who actually need it.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm actually bringing spirituality to even like my own recreational therapy degree because the thing is, a lot of times, like when we play or when we draw something or any recreational activities, a lot of times we lack the spirituality in there. Like art is okay, drumming is okay, but I don't see that much in sports besides yoga or anything else.
That's good, man. That's good. Anything that's working for you, like that's very important. Because it's fun. It's really important for yoga is a very can be a very therapeutic thing, and it's good that you have that thing, Andy. Yeah,
In
and
fact, I'm
Andy's
actually
a good man. Andy is a good man. Like seriously.
I teach yoga for people with developmental disabilities at a rec center. So some people don't even talk. I have to really tell them even talk in very simple ways, and I have to really understand them. I get it. It took a while.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's like if you came in there, like I'll have to really make you have to pay attention closely in order to understand them because sometimes they don't talk. Some of them even put stuff into their mouths and just eat whatever. You know those people.
What people are you talking about exactly,
The pica eaters.
The pica eaters? What's that?
Yeah, pica eating. That means they.
Pica.
It's a developmental disorder where people just put whatever they put whatever things that they can put into their mouth, like bite off of it.
All kind of like that show, my strange addiction, where like she like takes couch cushions off and just eats it all the time.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. I had a lot of that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How does that usually like how do people get to that? Like if you like is it
Usually,
just like
oh, I personally don't know their personal lives. I don't know. Like, they show me where is it that but they wouldn't even do it because they're embarrassed. That I want to help them. The problem I can't communicate with them. Most of them don't even talk. That's the sad part. Like that's the thing, guys. Like I need to know more. Is there any way in which I can know more about like how mental disorders work on the spiritual realm? And like I know that coaches don't see those people as mental disorders. They just see that as a need not being met. That's all that it is. And that our goal is to help them see that they met their need. And I need to know where to find resources so that way I can help them. Because I felt like, oh my God, every time whenever I see those people, it reminds me of the letter that I wrote to a child. I said, I promise to protect you, and that I am angry because I know that I felt hopeless that I couldn't even help you. I made a promise to that child that I will protect that child at all costs. I don't care if that child is there or if it's someone else. As long as you have that inner child, you have that desire to change, I will save you no matter what the cost is. And that sometimes when I don't understand a mental disorder, it actually pissed me off because I felt like I can't save them. I let them get sold away by these mental health professionals, and they took away the lives of those children. And I'm so angry, you know.
Andy, why are you speaking so low, my friend?
Well, it's because first off, it's actually 12 o'clock in the nighttime in my head, and I don't want to interrupt my mom's sleep right now. She's sleeping.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to wake her up.
I know.
Absolutely.
But like that's the thing, guys. It's because I know that when I'm angry, I tend to raise my voice up and I get loud.
Yeah. No, totally not. Totally.
Every time whenever I talk about mental health, that part of myself just rage up and want to get angry so badly. Especially like when they remind me of the children that they hurt. It's not fair
Really?
that they should suffer. None of us deserves this. And I need to know so that one day I can destroy this mess. I want to destroy whatever is holding us back. It's ignorance. That's not who we are. It's time to grow up, go out. I mean, we're not going to stay like this any longer. We're not going to treat our children like this. But in order to help me, you have to help me know. Ideas, guys, if you're there.
Sorry, I'm too engaged and entertained with Dan's writings over there.
I'm actually looking at some Burning Man photos. You know Burning Man?
Yeah.
Oh, hells yeah, dude. I'm
Yeah.
going this year for
Oh,
sure.
I'm going too.
Oh, you're going to? Wait, are you going? There's one in Israel, right?
There was one in Israel. There was one. Yeah,
Oh,
but
so you're gonna come to the U.S.?
I am in Canada right now.
Oh, nice, dude. I'll see you there, man.
For sure, for sure. That's what I wanted to say. Because I'm
Dude.
leaving soon, just because like I'm a bit tired. That's my in the chat. That's my profile on Facebook. I would love to. to add me, and we can chat and talk and whatever and share beautiful
Kayla,
ideas.
where in Canada are you staying right now?
Right now I'm in Vaughan, near Toronto.
Oh, you're so close to me.
Yeah, where are you from?
I live in Brampton.
Really?
It's literally a 35-minute drive.
Oh, so please, just before I leave this beautiful conversation, um, I wanted to share with you the event that's holding up this Saturday. Me and my friend, we just created this morning this global free hugs, synchronized free hugs event. This is the link. We're meeting downtown Nathan Phillips Square. If you want to come and join us, do some free hugs, or you want to do some free hugs in Brampton with us, we got already like 6 places we're doing free hugs at the same time with us. In Israel as well. I just got a message just now from a girl who will do free hugs in Jerusalem actually. And there's one in Tel Aviv and another city, and there's one in Guelph and London here in Canada. And might be this guy who we're doing in Minnesota who called in the conversation, and it's might just blow up and be really amazing. So if you're doing and if you're sharing, please send me a message so I can update in the event so people would see that there are more places and people participating. So Dan Mangan, please send me a message and I'll update it and we'll.
Did you get your ticket yet for Burning Man?
No, I got no ticket, no visa, no money, but I'm going to get it. I really believe
Yeah.
that if I want to, I really believe that if I want to, I will do it. So.
Yeah. Nah, you got to, man. You got to. It's gonna be
You got
awesome. Like,
it?
have you
Alon,
been to Lightning in a Bottle? Have you heard of that festival? That's a really good festival.
The what?
Lightning in a Bottle. That LIB. That's the one that happened like May 21st, and it was in California, and it was really awesome. It was kind of like Lucidity Fest, like it's that kind of festival, and it was just, dude, it was so like, I don't know, man. Like I definitely found myself there. Um, it was, like the people there are just like, when you get, I really feel like, festival is just like a demonstration for how like things are, basically we're like, like we're gonna live in the future like that, basically. Like I feel like,
Exactly. I know.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I've been in the OM festival, and
No, I have not been to yeah, I've heard about that though.
yeah, me
Have
and
you been?
Skull met there, and it's yeah.
Okay, nice.
Where is the OM festival? Yeah.
It's in Canada. It's about
Oh, it's in
4 hour
Canada?
drive
Okay.
north of Toronto.
Yo,
Yeah,
the
I gotta go to Canada.
the OM festival was near Collingwood, and it was super, super, super amazing. And I have no doubt that this is the way we will live in the future, in the near future even.
Yeah.
Getting back to nature, not live in a city anymore, because we don't need that bullshit actually.
Yeah, and I
Just
heard
buildings of people who are writing papers and doing nothing with those papers, and that's
basically, dude. And no, like I feel like, like like I saw like the videos for that, and like I saw like people just doing like community work and just kind of like getting everything together and just kind of like, helping each other out, not because it's like you have to, but it's just like empathy, that's kind of like what, I'm like, why can't we have that in a normal city environment? Just like everyone's just nice to each other, just like,
exactly.
yeah, it's just, man, it's just, yeah, but we're working towards that, so, it's
Just
gonna,
love. Yeah, yeah, just love. And that's what we do in the free hugs. That's what we do in free hugs. It's like
yeah.
cultivating friendly, being friendly all the time, even in a city. It's not about the hug, it's about the connection between the people.
Man, speaking of hugs, man, I've had this experience once where I was I was um I was at a like little gathering with my friends, and I met this girl, and I gave her like this hug, and like, when you give this hug and you like breathe in, and it's kind of like you know like man, it's like a technique I learned, and like it's like from my unconscious, like I was hugging her and like I breathed in, like I would breathe in while I'm meditating, and just like
Mm-hmm.
release. And dude, oh, that was like such a like powerful hug. It was like it was a real like it was an energy transfer. Like I felt like you know it was just this moment of like 10 years of relationship and like maybe like 5 seconds, of just hugging, and it was really powerful. It was it was wow. Like hugs, yeah, man, totally very strong things.
Exactly, exactly. It's just a
Yeah, it
simple
is.
connection of the dots.
Yeah,
Hey,
totally.
dude, love. Here's the thing. If you were to give one free hug to an adult, can you please give two free hugs to a child?
Oh, we're hugging lots of kids. We're hugging tons
Because
of kids.
here's the thing. They are my lost children, and they are in need of you. Just like how, like, they represent me in there. The moment you give two free hugs for them, you have helped me. Because I was once a child that was robbed from there. And that they are in desperate need of, everything because the world is, like, against them. Can you do that for me?
Of course, we're hugging everyone,
Like,
everyone.
like, here's the thing. If you can give, like, a side hug to an adult, give a full-on hug, like, show how much you love to a child.
Everyone,
Like,
everyone. Also kids, everyone. We're giving hugs to everyone. A really deep, meaningful hug to everyone, not giving up one person. I assure you.
because
Yeah, man.
that's
Even
what, like,
police. That's like, man, Dan. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like police, like totally just like, man, like it's important that just reintegrate the fear and the totalitarian the I mean reintegrate the love to sort of in the totalitarianism, but yeah, and just like kind of destroy everything, and just I don't know, man. I feel like as we shouldn't be just counterculture. We should be like the culture. It's not really about being counterculture, because if you're counterculture, I feel like we're gonna dissociate ourselves from the actual things, and we won't really know where to go. So I feel like reintegration, again, I'm saying it again, is very important. And like I remember, like I heard this story of like a police officer. you know, uh, he witnessed like a really horrifying murder, and like I was like thinking, like, man, like, this police like officer like went through a lot of things, like, seeing that, just like seeing, like, I think it was like he saw like a pregnant woman being stabbed, and I was like, dude, like this police, law enforcement, must have been through a lot of things, and I feel like, he would need some kind of way to eradicate his PTSD, because I mean, he certainly has that, and I feel, we need to find a way how to, like, destroy that from, you know, just fix things like that.
Exactly, exactly. You know that everyone who is in anger or it is actually everyone who's not giving you a hug eventually, not coming up and like, oh man, come on, let's hug, is
Yeah.
in limiting himself to love. Like, oh wait, I'm not. What is this? Free hugs? I'm not supposed to get free hugs. I'm not loved enough, so I'm gonna go. Because
Yeah.
they're just people feeding themselves bullshit inside their brain, can't
Right.
believing that someone is doing something so simple yet so meaningful.
Mhm.
Obviously, if people are in love, just like, of course, if you hug, come on, give me a hug, and of course,
Yeah.
just that. But the work is know that everyone is loved and everyone needs a hug, really.
Good
especially me. You know,
It's a good
especially
reminder to be loving to yourself.
yeah, especially me. I need love, and I'm always like, of course, everyone needs love. Let's share the
Yeah.
love. Let's create together.
Well,
And once you know that, you just keep looking people in the eye, and you keep offering them. You know, you keep being more active in your love, being more active in the free hugs.
Right. Totally.
well, have you ever thought of the fact that the hugging another person? Have you ever thought that sometimes in ancient cultures they might say that the act of love means that it means I will protect you no matter what happens. No matter what happens to me, I vow to protect you. That's what it sometimes means. Sometimes when I look at that form of action, it's because when you're hugging a person, like you're putting your body as a shield for them. That it doesn't matter who they are. That you accept it as what it is, and you're going to embrace it, even
Exactly.
when it's your own cost, your own life. That's what I see a hug mean. That's why whenever a child asks me if she always like she when I put my hands on my lap, she always pulled my hand and she put it like right by her thighs. And she said, "Please, I want you to put your hands right by my heart." That's all I wanted to be. At first, I thought like she just playing around because she's just like she's just a little child. But then when I feel her eyes, like she really means it. She felt like she's vulnerable, you know. Like that's the thing that for the first time I ever learned what it means to hug, what it means to be a human.
Exactly.
It's more than just love, expression of love. It's an expression of something even much greater. A love that is far more than just simply saying I accepted you.
You also have to accept the people.
Woo! Praise. bless that man.
Can I share a story?
I think accepting everything
Yeah.
is loving everything. Understanding that everything is you and part of you. There's no reason why not to love it, and feeling that that sense of safeness all the time, walking everywhere, no matter what you do, you know you're safe. You know
Can I,
you're supervised in some way. You
can I
know, I
share?
had that feeling a lot.
May I share something?
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, first thing I want to say is that Alan, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what you're doing with the whole free hugs, everything is really cool. You actually inspired me because I want to start something here in Florida. But I don't know if you have any friends out here that do it already, but
No, I don't know anyone in California, but well, now I know you.
Florida, yeah. But no, what I was saying was is that I used to, be a not like I used to think kind of like Malcolm X, how if you do something to me, I will retaliate. But the power of love is really is probably one of the most powerful thing, if not the most powerful thing in the universe.
It is, yes.
And I was walking down in a place called Clearwater Beach. It's a beach 45 minutes from where I live. Um, me and my friends were walking, and then I see my buddy Harry. He like freezes up out of nowhere, and I looked in front of me. I looked for my cell phone. I'm like, I see this guy. We have to go through an alley to get to our hotel. Like not really, just like an alley. And then this guy was holding a gun at us, and my friend Harry ran, but the guy pointed the gun straight at me, and then I didn't know how to tell him. I didn't know what to think of until it just dawned on me. I told him, listen, I hold no judgment against you. Whatever you're going through, I'm sorry. I just want you to know that you and me and all of us are a product of God, of anything which you believe. We're all brothers and sisters. Please don't do this to another person. And I don't know if he just felt bad or what. He just dropped the gun and he just ran. And
Bless
I,
you, bless you, bless you.
I never like. It's just I have that overriding sense of peace after that. I just looked at I look I looked at the world as a different place, and I feel like that's how people, how humans should look at each other more, rather than you know oh, you're from this country, you're from that country, oh no, you're from that state, you're from this province. We
We
should
are
just look at
all
each other like a
exactly
fellow person, just some
just a fellow creation. You're a fellow to this creation. We are at the same creation, you know.
we're all comrades, we're all family, we're all we're in a long in a long wide branch of roots. We are all connected.
Exactly.
That's how we should look at each other, and I don't think that you know and yeah, it's just it was totally, it was something. It was something.
Sounds amazing, brother. That was I really got excited. I really felt your words. That was really thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
no problem.
sharing.
You know,
It reminds me. Oh, you want to talk?
yeah, I was gonna say, it's like my friend right now, he's enrolled in the Spetsnaz, and he right now he's in Crimea, and like he's in the Russian military and everything, and like right now, like there's just certain parts where it's just not too good at all. And he like he came to he comes to a point where really where people because Zafro just
Yeah,
mentioned the how the cultural ideologies of certain views and certain things, and it's really once people just get to know each other, all of that just dissolves, and really the cultural values are really irrelative to reality itself. So there's just it's crazy. So I was just saying, my friend, he like met this girl, Ukrainian girl, who was like she because right now there's like West Ukraine and East Ukraine, and West Ukraine is not happy with East Ukraine. So he met like this girl that was like Ukrainian, because there's a lot of Russian folks that live in Russia, and they're they've been Ukrainian and Russians usually like they get along, but right now it's just like really bad, and it's political conflict, and people are scared, and there's campaigns of fear and whatnot, and so I was basically there's just like crazy stuff, and he fell in love with this Ukrainian girl, and he's just like I don't really know like what to do, like it's just like he became he was like I don't really know what to do at this point, because I'm in love with this person that and I feel compassion, and I really don't want to kill. If I get an order, and like and like Russian military is just like super tough, and
this is
they
first. Sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
it's just like it's crazy, like they so it's crazy, like what we just like all need to like at the end of the day, man, it's just like shit just like there's just something bad is gonna happen, and I mean, not something bad, but it's usually like, humans just like end up learning from the process, and because we don't want any more wars. That's the thing, it's no one wants wars because we've learned a lot of things in the past that happened, you know, you know, you name it, man. It's just like just human history. Like there's like the good, like like I said before, there's like there's human history, and there's like the bad, and there's the good, the beauty of humans, and there's but at the same time there's in the bad there's the process which allowed us to understand what what goes down the shitter. So there's the good in the bad, and it's all good. That's what I'm trying to say. But
All of what happened in the past to lead us
right.
to this exact moment that we're
Mm-hmm.
speaking now and having this conversation of consciousness.
Hmm.
So it must have been good, you know, and in
Yeah.
a way, we must look at it as good. No matter what happened, it
Totally.
happened before and now is now. And it reminded me, I just read a status of a friend who was going to reserves just now in Israel because they called reserves to the army. And he
It's
says,
mandatory there, huh? Like you
yeah,
have to.
I was in the military too for 3 years. And he wrote on Facebook, I'm going to reserves, but I am a warrior of light. I will not hurt anyone. That's what he wrote. It's so inspiring. And I just keep, as we speak, I still see more and more people just, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That never happened in Israel.
You're
And
the warrior of your own journey. That's basically what you
yeah,
are.
yeah, it's like yeah, I wouldn't even use like a lot of people, and I even use the term warrior of light, but I'm not
Yeah.
fighting anything. I'm
Yeah.
not fighting at all. There is no effort. I'm not in any war. Everyone is a friend. There are no enemies, and nobody can hurt me because I am not hurting myself. In the
Yeah.
sense that Zafro talked before, that love is the most powerful thing in the universe
Uh-huh.
because everything is love.
Yeah.
Everything
Totally.
is love. It's just light in different vibrations. Might be slower, might be faster, but it's just
Yeah.
love. I mean,
Yeah, and
the
I feel
fear,
go ahead, sorry.
that fear is just like lack of love, but it's not like lack. It's just very little bit of love. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's a very weird way to show love by killing or hurting someone. So just
Yeah.
like you can
Really
make
bad.
it a lot more simple. Just hug him instead of
Yeah.
doing that. Just give up
Totally.
on it.
Yeah, man. I feel like, once because I mean, like it or not, man, like life is really intense, man. Like, and I feel like people call themselves warrior of lives because they're trying to like say that I guess they're living off the intensity of life. I guess maybe that's why they call themselves warriors, because I mean, like it's really like crazy, man, if you think about how fast life is coming at you right now. Like, it's just like it's pretty crazy, like if you realize just like the moment right now, you're just like this person sitting talking to, you know, five, how many are we? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight people. And just like it's going through a web of just ones and zeros through, some network. And, we're just this earth, and we're turning around the sun, and, the sun is shifting around, you know, you know, the fucking Milky Way towards something called like the singularity apparently, and we don't even know what that is. And it's like we're and it's like there's like billions of other things like that, and maybe infinity even, and what's even beyond that. And it's just like you're really you get into that pattern where you're just like, whoa, dude, like it's just like life is intense. That's your conclusion, basically.
Hey Nikolai, I just want a slight interjection because in honoring of what was said earlier, how you can go crazy without sleep. I want to go sleep. But before I leave,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, Alon, I invited about 40 people to the event on Saturday just now, and so I'm gonna. I think I'll come. I'll be able to come out after I work an overnight shift. But I get
Mhm.
up at 7 in the morning, so I'll probably be able to come down and meet up with you guys at Nathan Phillips Square. It's a pretty big area, though. Is there like a general spot kind of where you meet?
You'll see us, man. We'll be so colorful, and you'll see us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna please. You added me on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So I'll send you my number. I got a local number.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So
Send
you'll
me a
let me
text.
call us.
I'll text you back, and then you'll have my number too.
That would be amazing. Thank
I was
you.
also looking at some pictures of I guess a previous event that you had up, and I was just kind of curious that generally is it well received, or do you get a lot of people who are like, what are those hippies doing over there?
Okay. Just for you to know, the pictures in the event, I've only put like 4, and I got like thousands. I literally mean we're gonna do a documentary about this love trip. But anyway, I got tons of stuff to talk about. Want to be specific. Um, those pictures, most of the people in those pictures are not from Team Love Trip.
Well, I
Okay,
gathered
what,
that,
what I'm
yeah.
trying to say is that we came 3 people or 4 people, and we became 12 by the end of the day, like 4 hours after. People just joined us, and it spread like wildfire. And you know what happened? I didn't say it in the radio show just because, like, it's fractal flowing, so it always gets different subjects. But what happened in that same day was that we got to Dundas Square, actually. And there was this Jesus guys speaking with a mic, speaking about how Jesus is Lord and everything is Jesus and stuff like that. But saying it not in a very love way. It's like, Jesus is love and you can embrace yourself and everything will be amazing. No, it's like, accept Jesus, accept, in a very wrong and unloving way. And there was this other guy who was trying to convince people to read the Quran, and everything is good, but it was not, and there was a very confused vibe in the center of Dundas Square, and we just came there, fucking made the signs, and stood in the fucking middle of everything, and just said, guys, chill the fuck out, give us a hug, love is the fucking answer. And
Yeah.
by the end of the day, it took some time. Those Jesus guys quite went crazy from us because they saw how much attention we are getting by simply being love, not convincing anyone that Jesus is love or Muhammad is love or anything else. And
Yeah.
by the end of the day, he actually advertised us on the mic. He's like, yeah, give those free hugs guys again. And they just went in the end, and we were just patrolling love all day. And there was this drummer guy who played drums, and everybody was dancing. It's like, it was amazing.
That's awesome.
So I've never been to. There's so much of that activity around me, but I've honestly never actually been to one of these free hut things. That's why I was like, just curious to get a feel for it, because that's something I like to get a feel for.
You'll meet amazing people. There will be lots of people from the OM Festival that we met there, and they want to join us, and it's gonna be really fun.
I think, like what you're saying with religion, I think before we know how, or before we follow religion, we must follow ourselves. So we would know, okay, this is what you agree with, this is what you don't agree with. Some people have been, some people say, who follow Westboro Baptist Church. You probably heard of them. They're like the ones who like picket, dye fags and all that stuff. And
You know what, man, I have to say something, because once you follow yourself, the idea of following someone else, I mean, you're really getting into philosophies, and that's fine, but religion itself, I have to be, I kind of have to be honest and say, like, I'm personally an atheist.
Oh, that's totally. When I say religion, okay, maybe your philosophy, your anything, whatever you choose to believe in. I think you must get to know yourself first, and then you can make that decision.
No, totally. But here's the thing: the problem with religion is just like it's kind of like one guy trying to interpret like you know
Good night,
really
Joel. Good night.
the message of
Good night, Joel.
later, dude, later. Nice talking to you, man. I thought you brought up some really interesting stuff, man. I gotta lay it out.
Cool, brother. Well, chat me up anytime on Facebook, or if anyone
Yeah.
wants to add me, I can put my profile down here quick.
But yeah, no, I was saying, like religion itself is basically one guy trying to like, say, oh, this my shit is cool and yours not. It's like that's what it is really. It's just a bunch of guys all saying the same thing, just like my shit's cool. No, your shit is not cool. It's like it's Muhammad. No, it's Jesus. No, it's Buddha. No, and it's just like no, it's what is it really? So once I think it's there is true there is like he said love, there's compassion in people. That is real. That is not some fake, bullshit that's misinterpreted and, there's wars because of it. That is real, real emotions. That is real, like hugs. That's totally real things. And, like, uh, I believe personally, like process and science, like that's totally real, and
Yeah.
transcending that archaic information into our world is like it's like what the human condition like it's what it does. That's what we do. We evolve. As Homo sapiens, we just we transcend and we just it's basically like the Fibonacci sequence. That's what it basically comes down to. But
I mean, the main point of religion, the two main point, was first to bring faith into the people and to have answers for questions that seem impossible to answer. It's just
yeah,
another way for them to tell them this is how it is. And
right.
me personally, I'm I believe in there could be a supreme being, but I believe in science also. My thing is that and I'm probably getting a little deep in here, with
Okay.
just we go back, we found proof of the Big Bang theory. With we still have the waves going out, expanding we discovered that. What I want to know is what was the first, this in the set of dominoes, what was the first, like just flick of the finger and just let it all play out. What was that? Like, and there was stuff before the Big Bang Theory. I know it was like a mixture of chemicals, and I'm not a science major. I haven't looked into the Big Bang Theory yet, other than I've researched the fact that they found evidence and, just basically basic stuff, about the
Right.
Big Bang Theory. But
Well, yeah, energy equals mass squared. That was like Einstein's theory about like relativity, being like basically that there's the energy is focused on the most heated place in the universe, and that that's basically where life is, and the dark side is basically where the black holes are, and that's where everything just gets mixed up. But I mean, it's more complex than that. I'm not, but no, like yeah, I mean, I'm glad, like yeah, totally, like I get like I can't be 100% sure. Like I don't really know what's out there. That's why like being full of doubt. I think it's good because
I just want to, like, because there's got to be something, because as human beings, we're all born with a sense of morality. There's I mean, unless like you're meant, like there's something wrong with you. We all know, like whenever we would kill somebody, we'd feel bad. Like whenever we would, we were all born with a sense of morality. Some people can argue, well, that's just because people say it, but I don't know. I feel like if you were to drop some like a newborn on an island with another newborn, I mean, if they survive, they would they would still come up with a sense of like they'd still have the basic human morals. They would still have,
Yeah.
that.
But no, I mean, yeah, we're humans. That's what we're like I said, we're Homo sapiens. Um, if I may ask, I mean, I'm totally not gonna, judge or anything. I don't do that. But are you a creationalist, or do you believe that we evolved from, you know, uh, the the monkey?
Oh my God, did you see? I'm just fine. I'm evolutionist. I feel like we.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah,
We're
see,
not.
in my opinion, I think that should be banned, because there's just like no way that, I just like, I feel people just need to kind of, I mean, there's a lot of backup, and there's things that, we maybe not know specifically, but, I feel like creationalism is just like complete, like,
It's very old world. It's still. I don't understand how people.
yeah, I
I
mean,
guess I could understand if that's all you were like when you were born. That's all you've known. But I doubt that anybody like has never questioned it.
I mean, it's not even about that. It's just like it's really all comes down to, I really don't want my kid to, just, I mean, look, I can't, like, I really like want to say something, but like, I kind of don't want to sound offensive, but
It's
I'm gonna say it.
You
So,
are. Just say.
like, yeah, like, there's like the Eastern Bunny, it just, it doesn't really make sense. So it's just like, you could, fairy tales are awesome, like magic is awesome, like the idea of magic, all that, fairy tales, it's great, but there's reality, and there's what actually happened, and reality really doesn't give a two shits about you and me. It's just happens for a reason, and it just happens, it does what it does. It's just this unexplainable reality that we can't really understand, but we try to understand. And the I feel like, we need to really just reconsider and start thinking from the process of things, because like I said before, earlier in the show, like, you can't really say like, oh, why is the sky blue, or oh, why am I seeing like colors right now? Well, because no, it's like, we need to focus on the process of things, how it became that. So start focusing on the most simple thing, and then just levitate towards a more complex thing. And that's how I feel, this true, the beauty of reason, really what it generates, this really, you get a fresh eye of the whole thing. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion.
I mean, I I bear no judgment to anybody, like any religion. I mean,
Mhm.
I guess unless you're satanic, I don't know. But yeah,
Mhm.
that speaks for itself. But um, yeah, it's again, I guess it's how you cope, and I don't I don't necessarily. You see, I'm okay with people who are religious. I just I don't care for the ones who believe that everything is set in stone, or that, who try to not say convince you, but the ones who think that there is no flaw to what they say, because there's religious people who know that, like, I could see why people would view our religion a certain way. But if there's the people who don't think that, like the people who are like, oh no, I don't understand why, who don't want to ask questions, who want to keep themselves enclosed in a life of just, believing in one thing, not asking questions, not, I
No,
just,
it's not really about the thing. It's just about, the major population taking it as a fact. I'm speaking mostly for, countries like, that take religion as it is, and put it into politics, and put it into like, let's say, abuse children, and molest children, and kind of find use religion as the sense of acceptance, for their action. And in my opinion, that's just like something, I think that's completely just really not something I want to see in the future, in my personal opinion. But I mean, that's just, I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, like you just said, religion could help people out, and you could totally find, like, if like, if I'm in a you know if I'm talking to a Christian person, I'm polite, and I try not to, try to see what's the best approach, like a Judeo-Christian person, to not create any negative vibrational sequences. So I kind of try to, you know I'm still myself, but I'm not really, I don't really, the idea that they believe in, I completely disagree. I mean, it's just, I don't
yeah,
know.
no, yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
That's I'm open to religions, and I'm open to,
Okay.
if anything,
Awesome.
yeah,
That's great, man. That's good.
it's just I can't, like, it's just there's always that, I can't call myself a complete, like, atheist, I can't,
Hmm.
because there's still that little smudge of mystery. That's what I call myself,
Hmm.
agnostic. But we all we gotta we gotta just do you. I'll do me. We can just, as long as people talk, as long as people talk,
Hmm.
and do it in a civilized manner.
Yeah.
That's the
Exactly.
that's the best that's the best way. The world would be a lot better place rather than people bicker, or people just.
Yeah. I mean yeah, I agree with you. That's a good point. But the thing is, the bottom line is it's just kind of not gonna happen anytime soon. I mean,
Oh,
I
well,
just want to share something. Real.
yeah.
Yes.
I just got a message from someone who was in school with me, and he just sent me a message, like a really long, not important message, but he was like, "I am ashamed of you as Jewish and as a friend because at this weird peace demonstration you want to do, there are people who are getting killed right now, and we should destroy all the enemies of Israel and kill everyone." And I'm just, I'm not taking it personally by any way. I'm just asking him questions, and I'm seeing how this
Right.
conversation rolls out. This is just now, and he's just saying they're savages, um, and these are enemies, and we need to
Wait,
kill
is he
all the ones
talking
who
about
want.
Palestinian people, or what is
No,
he?
he's just saying, not that I would think that I'm generalizing all the Arabs. That's not what I mean. I'm just talking about the ones who want us dead. These are enemies, and we need to kill them all. And once we kill them all, there will be peace on earth.
No, that's not. No.
Right. That's kind of, dude. That's, I mean, you might totally agree. That's kind of what, uh, what's his name? Adolf Hitler tried to do that. That was kind of his idea in the beginning. It's just like let's just do that, and we'll see how it goes. And it didn't go where it went. Like it just not. And there was it just went to shit basically. But no, dude, like that's not a nice thing. You tell him like, man, like, well, like the Arab, what if that's like your child, what if that's like your mother, or like what are you gonna like, you know, but I really don't know from what kind of lens he's looking at the world, so he might be looking from culture, which I'm guessing he's looking at as like cultural
A
ideology.
regular, like, yeah, it's totally regular to say things like that. I've met a lot of people that would probably think, but it's not coincidence at all that he sends me those messages and he's in contact with me. What he really wants, and he is not conscious of that, but what he really wants is to speak with me. Because if he didn't want, and he would just think, I don't care what you think, I want to kill all the terrorists, I don't know, then he wouldn't speak with me. But there's a reason he's sending me those messages. He wants to talk in a subconscious. He wants to discover more.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the way I look at it. Because if he fears and he talks, he just wants love, like everyone else. He's just human. There's nothing special.
Mm-hmm.
In a good way, everybody wants love, and that's it. So.
I want to ask your opinion about do you think that the Palestinian and the Israel is like the part of the conflict? Do you think it's solely over the territorial dispute, or is it because of just religion? Just religion.
I'll tell you what I think, and it will answer all of the questions that you will ever have. There are no Israelis, there are no Palestinians. We are all love all the time. There are no countries or governments. These are just delays of unifications and more veils of separation between us and unity. And once we give up all that bullshit, even money and possession, that we will just live in peace and infinite abundance, always just happy of ourselves. Because all of these labels and stuff like that are just separation, and we can give them up and just live. So I literally don't put like, yeah, there are people who call themselves Palestinians or Israelis, but it's just like the geographic point that you were born in. What's the in this imaginary borders that we drew on a map.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying there's difference. I'm talking about the geographical points. The people who have been labeled Palestinians, the people who've been labeled Israelites.
I really think that people don't want war. It's the government, and it's all the media. Everything in the media is a lie, is a total lie, because a media, like everything else, is a business, and it incorporates, and it wants to earn money. So it will do whatever it can to show drama, and then it will sell you products. So I really don't believe anything that's on the media, anything. And
It's just campaigns of fear, man. That's what it is.
and just perpetuating hate, even if it's just to notify you that there was 100 people killed in Gaza or 150 rockets fell on Israel. It's bullshit. It's all our territory. It's all everyone's territory. There is no need of that bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, in the most purest way. I don't mean in a negative way. I mean it that I want to perpetuate love, and that's what I mean. And now, really, here now is a very open conversation, so I can say these words. But as I give up fear inside myself and be more free, I will be able to say that words always, even by getting those kinds of comments that they hate me and stuff like that, because I'm a betrayer of the Israel nation or whatever, or the Jewish whatever. But I know that they want love too, so I have to be strong and continue with the love.
yeah, you want to like you want to reintegrate what you think, and you want to reintegrate it right. And yeah, totally, man. And like, yeah, man, I met like a Palestinian guy who's dating a Hebrew girl. Like, they were actually like very connected with each other, and like I really felt that vibe off of them. And like, yeah, I was like, dude, like, like I said before with my friend who's in Ukraine right now, like it's just like, dude, like it's just once people fall in love, like, just you know, it's just all of that, I like all of those ideologies like become just like they just never really existed in the first place. It was just an illusion that,
I
kind of like generated somehow. um, that's why I feel like, uh, progress, for the future generation, it's very important, to teach our kids how to think, not, you know, what to think.
Exactly, exactly.
my
Or even more like feel, like teach them to feel.
Yeah, teach them to feel. Yeah, I feel like, you gotta like kind of not interfere with them because you want to kind of like let them develop by themselves, but definitely like teaching is very important. But it's really, it's really, yeah, teaching them how to feel. It's, I mean, a lot of things like teaching, just, let them generate themselves, into this world. I feel like, and it's because if you're gonna tell them like, no, that's not how you're supposed to feel, and like, you're not supposed to be questioning things, like, you're not supposed to be like, you're not supposed to be thinking of like, like why is this flower so beautiful, like, you know, um, like I remember when I was a kid, I used to like walk in the forest and like completely just like lose myself in there. Like it's like I live like outside of Moscow in Russia, and like we had just this huge forest, and I like lose myself in there and just like stay there for like hours and just like kind of like talk to the flowers and like just kind of like I remember like there was this one flower that I found, and like I smelled it, and like I felt like I had a mystical experience just like by smelling it. It was like a daisy.
Wow.
It's just, yeah, it was just like this, like, it was so powerful. I felt like so connected with nature, and just like I feel like we need, this is what, everyone needs just in general, just connection with nature, and connection with whatever you want it to be. I mean, kids, they're eventually going to figure out, what the parents are saying no to, and that's, the pattern that, our culture has been kind of thinking. It's not only with kids, it's with, the governments that like, what is it, what's the government is saying no to, it's really a structure, it's that pattern that's been repeating itself, and I feel like, definitely like, you know making the change within you as a person, is very important. uh,
Yes. Be
and
the
it's,
change you want to see.
yeah, and it's like everyone's the hero of their own story, so it's all about everyone's story, and it's so complex, and it's so beautiful, and it's so like, it's just fucking vast, man. It's crazy.
can I say some things about love and like what you said about like how people just forget. Well, the first one's more about the kid. You guys, this is a stupid question, but of course you guys support gay marriage, and you guys.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
like no support. It's like common sense. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, quote. I'm sorry. Yeah, just reiterate. My cousin, my uncle, he is a homosexual.
Okay.
I have a really
Okay.
little half sister who she I guess she wanted to know. She didn't want to know her. She wanted to be explained what that was, homosexuality, or like she didn't know. She was never exposed to it, and her parents thought, like we should tell her, what he like, what he is, and just what like, why he's doing it, and because kids are innocent and they don't know. So I told her, she's like, oh yeah, so Uncle Jim, he has a special guest coming. He's like, oh, is it a girlfriend? No, it's a boyfriend. And she's like, oh, um, a boyfriend? Yeah, why? Well, he likes him the way that a guy would like a girl. And then the next, like, it shocked me. Like, it's so simple what she, like, it's not some complex, but she said, oh, okay. And just the simple mindedness of a child, just to give that utterance, it is refreshing.
Yeah.
Like why can't we have, like we have this stigma. I don't have a stigma. I mean, at least not anymore, because I was taught to at first. Not now that it happened to a family member. Now we're more sympathetic. But at first I was taught to believe that homosexuality was bad, and now my parents know it's no better.
Mm.
You know,
That's
it,
good, man. That just proves you that this kind of movement has been reintegrated into this, and accepted. And in this hangout, we've been kind of talking about, like earlier, you weren't here, but we've been talking about acceptance and reintegration. And I feel like, yeah, man, it's just it's
it's
just
mhm.
people, like I said, people just have their old, you know people, have this old mentality of, the alpha, kind of like alpha male thinking, like, yeah, man, I take I go to the forest, and, like, that whole kind of like like historic, like thinking, like, the man has to do everything, like take the meat, bring it to the
Okay.
house, feed the
There,
children,
my
feed.
history teacher, I look up to him a lot, and he says, listen, the people with the old mentality, just let them think the way they think, and you can't just expect to change them. They're not gonna change it. They're gonna die out. It's the new generation. It's your kid. It's you, your kids. That's the generation. Don't
Yeah,
focus on the old. Focus on the future and the present.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And
but the thing is, the old is kind of like what's the hierarchical position. So, I feel like you know, it's a movement that needs to happen at a certain rate.
yeah,
And
yo, okay, yeah, yeah.
you can't just there are certain things, like, that are not allowed in the society, and they should be allowed in the society, like, you know uh being gay, or using whatever you want to use to perturb your consciousness, or whatever you think you want to do. That's up to you. So, like, I'm telling you, if you're in a place where you can't, people just tell you to lower your voice because you know you're too loud, because the priest is talking to you, talking or something. I feel like, you're in a place where people are telling you to avert the gaze. It's not, that place is not a place for people. Like, it's not a place for where you want to be. If something is going against your will, it's just like, I don't know why you would be there.
And,
But I
yeah,
don't know.
I
That's
kind
my
of want. I kind of want. I just like you talked about, like falling in love and the ideology disappears. I kind of have that story.
Yeah.
Um, in the and you know, I lived in the neighborhood. We had this guy who worked at the World Trade Center. You know, he was like everyone's best friend. And
Okay.
he died in during the 9/11 attack.
Okay.
And I guess my parents, my dad, and I see why, but they had this sense, they very prejudiced against Muslims, you know, and they were, yeah, like whenever we would, they wouldn't necessarily, he wouldn't be vocal about it, but I remember I was in a karate, I took karate, and there was this girl who was a white belt with me. Um, she seemed normal. She was kind of pretty, to me. I kind of liked her. She was pretty, but and then I was taught to believe that Muslims were bad, and they weren't supposed to be in America. Kind of like that. Not maybe not to that point, but just stay away from Muslims. So I just and I thought she's kind of pretty. So, and then when I saw her go with her mom was wearing a hijab. And I was like, huh. So I kind of tried to stay away from her. A few years later, we've gotten to know each other. My parents didn't know about it, but we've gotten to know each other. I started really liking the girl, and just I started to, my defenses starting to, raise. I didn't really care about, that much, but at the same time, I didn't feel totally right about it. But then, like, I remember we were sparring, like we were practicing, and then she leaned me over to the corner, and then she gave me a kiss. Holy shit!
Okay.
I just forgot about everything.
No.
I didn't
Yeah.
care. She was.
That's good.
I was about 15.
Well, man, here's the thing you've learned then, like follow what you love. So, to not end up in the situations where, ideologies occur, or where you're taught to think a certain way, just follow your instinct, play by the hour, do what you want to do, man. Because, like, trust me, like, yeah, like, I've been, you know, like, personally, dude, like, religion fucked up my childhood. Because, first of all, I was brought up in a really, like, well, I was born, and, like, I was semi, like, my mom's side was, like, really, like, atheist. Because, like, really atheist, you know, communists. And, the other side, my dad's side, was just like complete Judeo, like Christian, like charismatic, you know, crazy, religious believers. And, I stayed there, and it's just like I saw how, like, I got like PTSD from it now. And, I remember I I just like I got it just like shattered everything. Because I like my grandma, like, that's kind of how, like, because, like, I'm majoring in organic chemistry now. And, like, that's kind of how I started. Because my grandma, like, we used to talk about, like, how, about atoms, and about, like, how like, how, like, things work. And, how, like, it's just like little things about science. And, like, I got really interested in, and I was like, wow, like, that's so beautiful. And, like, after I got distracted by, like, religion and negative bullshit. And, it's just like, it's just shit that I didn't want to. But then, like, I found myself by having an experience which I never forgot. And this experience just completely changed me. And, I found my passion. It's like organic chemistry. That's what I'm meant to do, and that's like, yeah, it's an art of its kind. Like some people just like painting things, and some people just like singing. Some people like, flying jets. But I like making chemicals and understanding them. That's what I do.
Yeah, but like, let me tell you, like, ever since that day, that's like, there's like probably different points. Like, my parents are really conservative, if you can't tell. But my
Okay.
but like, I kind of, there was like different key points in my life where like it made me realize, I don't think like my parents anymore.
But here's the thing, dude. I feel like, your parents, like you say, they're conservative. I feel like you just need to like love them. It doesn't matter. Just never.
I don't care. Like, I love my parents.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying, I'm just talking about like ideological point. Like, I don't care about what they think. They can. I love them. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying. There's times where like I realize, this isn't, their ideas aren't my ideas. My ideas are my ideas, and there's different key points. I love my parents. There's they could be they could be redheaded hating people for all I know. I don't care. They're my parents.
right.
I I'm just saying. I was just bringing out. My ideas aren't the same as theirs, and there's different
Yeah.
points, and that's where I told them like that girl. We ended up dating for about 3 years. 3 years. We're still like we still talk. The thing is that like she moved. She's she's in Stanford right now. Um,
Okay.
she's a year above me. So like we tried dating for a year. Um, like while she was in college and then I was in high school, and then but we couldn't really communicate. It was hard, but we still talk, and ever since we like every time we talk,
Hmm.
it's like we still have that passion.
That's
Like I
good, man. You should follow that.
I love her. Like that's just it. Like I feel like she is the one for me, and I'm not saying that I'm definitely gonna marry her, but that's if I can't imagine me marrying anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, how old are you, if I may ask?
I'm 18.
Okay. Yeah, man. You
I got my
have.
life ahead of me. I'm not thinking about marriage right now. I'm just saying if,
Yeah.
if there was a
You
girl.
have the world, like, man. Like the world is just like, you know, uh, like the world is just like right in front of your face, and it's just like you just want to like play it by the hour. I mean, I've like I want to like, cause like I want to tell you like something like, I don't want to like sound like kind of like cocky, like guy to guy talk, but like you just want to follow like what's in the now and what reality brings to you, because if you love could be definitely a very dangerous thing. It can be. You could fall in love, and you next thing you know, it's like that person doesn't love you because people have different kind of chemistry with each other, and I'm just saying, but you could just play it by the hour, like live in the now. That's very important. Just like because you're gonna meet like some other girl, and like you just probably like I don't know, but
Yeah, no, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I feel like she's my first real love.
okay.
We we can't be like going. I can't deny and say like we've been doing this for like 2 or 3 years,
Mhm.
and you can't say that it's nothing because it is something, and it's
Yeah.
just we have that bond. And if one day will tell me, she says, "Listen, I, I don't I don't feel the same way anymore," then I'll still love her, and I want her to be happy. And
That's good.
and
I'm
that's
glad
fine.
you have that.
I can meet another girl.
Yeah.
I can meet.
You'd be good, man. You'd be good. You'd be good. Trust me. Yeah, you're experienced, so that's all that matters. But you guys, it was really nice talking to you. I gotta go to sleep and just like talking with you guys. Just like it's really good. It's very like just like just manifests thoughts. Just that's what I did. Like just manifesting ideas and like just when ideas just collide with each other and just create other ideas. It's just like beautiful, man.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, it's
Keep
just.
keep in touch, man. And may I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
You can answer whatever. Did you try? Because I have a feeling you did. Did you try shrooms ever?
Yes, I did. I did try shrooms.
Okay, that's
I
good.
had I mean I tried several a lot well, a lot of things. Well, my honestly my favorite is acid, but shrooms is definitely something you just puts you in that state where you're just you're so you're so connected to each other and you love everyone and it's just that it's real and it's more real than reality itself and it's just such a therapeutic thing but reintegration and again definitely very
I
important.
knew that from the moment that you started talking in this conversation.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
yeah, because the way that people that been through certain processes with themselves sometimes express themselves in a similar way. And I just saw your facial movement. I knew that was
Okay.
you were after that process.
Have you ever experienced mushrooms?
Yes, of course.
Nice.
It was pretty
What would
much
you say
lately.
like what would you say your dose where you just like completely just like
What,
blasted?
what did you ask?
Like how much mushrooms
Just a second.
yeah, to think.
Ave? Ave? Chill.